Hello, hello. Hi, friend. I did it. You did it. I was like,
Usually I can't post it in time.
yeah.
I'm like,
I don't know why it doesn't just automatically turn the camera on anymore.
no, don't do that. That would be terrible. Like, just because I'm thinking about, there were times I was with Caroline online and someone accidentally requested, and then she accepted it, and they were like, hello? Am I here? I was like, ooh,
Hmm.
I could have been mad. I could have been bad.
Mm-hmm.
I already rewatched it.
You you already
I
rewatched?
just finished rewatching it.
I listen. The whole episode was wild, and you could tell that Tom had coached everything. But
Yeah.
her interview at the end,
Well, you know my theory, and it aligns with my theory. Like, I think she's gonna wake up because she's having more normal reactions
responses
than
now.
him. Like, he is having a narcissistic reaction, and
Yeah,
like they're calling us the evilest people. Like, any criticism is actually a problem. She's like,
I
yeah,
feel bad. Like when they were
he
in
did
the
bad
dressing room
shit.
before Sheena came back and he was like laughing with I was like,
And that he was like, no, it's just I could already tell before she said the whole timeline thing. Like, he came in with, okay, this is what my angle is going to be, that it was one time, and I'll just hook on that. So anytime they say fucking, I'm gonna say no, it was just once. Oh, is it a mistress has to be like a long term? It was just once. It was just like that was his.
that was his gonna be a saving grace.
Right. And she's like, I'm not getting, because it doesn't work. It's not gonna work. But a narcissist, doesn't.
They don't think about that. Here's what I think about
That's why
too
right to their face.
is like it's debrief time. I want to know how he thought. I guess he didn't know that Andy would ask about them being in love, but once that question came out, that whole clinging on to the one time thing makes no sense.
Yeah.
Because now it's worse. Like, let's just say that you did only fuck one time, but you fell in love with her while you're with Ariana. That's
Yeah, and he's saying one time and then it wasn't and then it was. Like,
mm-hmm,
he's saying during that time we weren't.
mm-hmm,
Shut up. Like,
mm-hmm.
what is wrong with you? But this is great. And because this is why people who experience narcissistic abuse are like, am I crazy? And that's how you get there, because they say things that are crazy. And we never get to watch, they would never do this. You don't get 10 seasons of watching them and be like, he really just said, because when you hear these stories back, when after a toxic relationship and you hear it after,
Mm-hmm.
you're like, whoa, this should have been obvious, because things seem obvious afterwards, right? Because
Afterward, yeah, when you're not in the middle of it.
it's egregious by the end. In the beginning, it's not like we all got. But the it's like we never get this
You never get it. Never.
publicly, like with
I
no
was
PR.
talking I don't know who I was talking to, but I was like, this has been cathartic for me to see this, especially like with my most recent situation. I'm like, that little speech that he gave, like, I'll always love you, I'll be true. Those words were said to me. I was like, when I heard that, I was like, oh no. Like
It was
all the
just
behavior was starting
words.
to match up anyways, but when he said that, I was like, ew.
Like, what does it mean?
Right.
I mean, yeah, Lisa was like, "Sir, you're not doing a good job for yourself.
Yeah, she tried to coach him on showing more emotion. Maybe if
You
you
need
showed
to
some human
maybe
emotion.
stop with the anger. We got that. What you angry for?
And the way they kept honing in on Lala, like, if that's who you have to hone in on, first of all, Lala will rip your fucking ass apart. So why you going for that smoke is beyond me.
Like, he don't see it. And he tried to push Raquel with it too. You can see like she's saying things like he would say, like leaning into these. This is why you can't talk because
Right.
you did this thing this time.
Kelly Vanderpump Rules,
6
what we're
years
talking
ago.
about. Yeah. So, like, it was just so what. But it makes more sense now as to why Rachel has seemed a bit disconnected. Like, I still think that she has some vapidness to her, but now knowing all those lies that she was keeping up to appease him for his fucking image,
You
meanwhile
have to
she's
remain
falling in love with
disconnected.
him.
Yep. You have to be disconnected. And I'm pretty sure she's neurodivergent, and
Oh,
because I could see myself taking all that and not having a reaction until after, because when you can actually process things, you know, because whatever, like Tom is crying, but it's not weird to me that she's not crying in those moments. But
right.
yeah,
But
and
that last little
thinking
piece,
all the things. So I was like, yeah, she just has him. He's isolated her. She literally has no, like, people don't want her to be a victim, and I get that.
she's a victim of the narcissistic behavior. She
You
still
can
made
be a victim
decisions.
and a
Yes.
victimizer. You can hurt people and also be getting abused yourself.
Yep. That last little piece that she snuck in about when Ariana was at her grandmother's funeral
Yeah.
and they fucked in the house.
I mean, yeah. Are we surprised?
No,
You know?
no, not at all. It was not just like a wow.
That
Y'all
wasn't
are
the drop.
crying.
That wasn't the drop that they tried to make it. I think it's just like, oh, is he gonna still be down with her because she betrayed him? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, he never believed him.
Right. Oh my god. When
Oh my
Schwartz-
god, when Schwartz was like, oh, can we just talk about the juxtaposition here? I was
like Schwartz, you don't think
you're humiliated, but also let's talk about how you've been getting so much. Isn't it great? And that she started crying immediately. I was like, exactly, fuck you.
Yeah, fuck you. Because he was just trying to make it like oh, look, it still came out well for you. Yeah, after she almost fucking died. Like,
You can't just be, look at me. It's funny when James was like, oh, good one, Schwartz. Whatever the joke was. Yeah, great.
Alexa, volume down. Yeah.
I thought about the whiteboard.
Oh, there's...
That'd be
Look
hard.
how far back you want to go. If you want to go back to season 1, we need a white wall. Like a newsroom wall. You know what I mean?
There'd be so many lines. But I have a vibe somewhere where I'm like pointing to the people on the screen. But that, it's all about, I think that's why this is so big, though. Mm-hmm. It's narcissism. We never get to see it. Now it's such a topic of discussion, and people are realizing what it is, and we're able to share stories of how it's the same pattern. It's always different, but it's the same pattern of behavior. Mm-hmm. And now we're watching someone, the ultimate, right? And it makes sense that he would be a narcissist. He's on Vanderpump Rules. He literally is the only one who's like, Sheena also was like, I just want to be famous. Yeah. I don't care what for. Like, I don't guitar, I do a little thing, I'll do whatever. I just want to be famous. That's
was he the one that said it was my show, or was that Jax? That was Jax, right?
Jax.
Something about like, this is my show, or something like that.
I'm the number one guy. Stop acting like I'm the number one guy.
No, but there was no, it was
like my show.
It was Jax talking to Lisa, and he was like,
that was his last lines on the whole series, aside from the reunion, was like, "This is my show. This is why my show does."
No, that's right, because he like spun out in the bar.
Yeah. Just be talking at whoever is there.
That's a really big thing. Is that talking at it, like the fact that
they do not talk to each other. They just be talking
at each other. But like
Tom had his thing in his head. He's like, no, but we're not. And Lisa was like, no, but even if you're trying to say it was one time, even if you're just friends after that one time, it's still wrong. He's like, yeah, but it was just one time. And she's like,
but that's not making it better.
He just keeps. But again, the tactic is don't let them finish the sentence. The fact that he knows So I've always had this question of like, do they know it's a script, right? Like the fact that there are these common behaviors, are they aware that they're doing it and that it's a repeat of past behavior? And like you are saying literally the same things you said about your last girlfriend. If there's no one there recording you, like, does he know? But then to be like, you can't let them finish a sentence. Like, that's I don't know. What?
What mindset goes on there? I don't think he realizes that he's saying the same thing. I think it's just so natural to him.
Yeah.
Which is fucking scary. Like, so Lala is right when she said that's a dangerous
He's a dangerous person. Like,
it's one thing to disregard somebody else's feelings. And it's another thing to manipulate that person into believing that it's their own fault that it happened. Like his little line about like when she said he slept with somebody after, it's like she wore her t-shirt. I was like, are you fucking?
That's what
you said now?
Goosebumps. Every time he said, yeah, and she kept her t-shirt on. It was so hot. Even Schwartz was like, no, dude. And he said, sorry, bro. He apologized.
He apologized to Schwartz. Patted his back.
She kept her t-shirt. So it wasn't that they weren't fucking. They were fucking, but she kept her t-shirt on. How dare she? And I love that Lala was like, see, this is what you're getting. This is what you're getting. Loves.
This is how he's talking about. Somebody already made a shirt that says fuck me in this t-shirt with Ariana's face on it.
God.
It was just
not damn. Holy shit.
Yeah, but Lala's right. And she's like, this is what you're getting. See how he's talking? This is how he's going to talk about you.
Yep.
And no regard at, like...
They're treating us like we're the evilest, but like, it's one thing coming from Katie, but he always has something. Not from this person. It just can't come from this person. And he always would like give those things to Jax too. It was always like, this is the reason you can't, I don't need to listen to you. Mistress or whatever. But even Schwartz tried so hard with his little jokes. It's not working, bruh. You look so sad.
Just defeated. And
say that. He literally was like, oh fuck, I lost. Like,
that's the worst thing. We almost made it.
Like we were really dropped it. Like she kept her t-shirt on.
And then when he's like, when I found out, like I told him what he has to do and like what he has to say.
Because he's gonna humiliate her. It's gonna be humiliating.
And I love when she's like, not humiliated. These two fuckers are.
We shouldn't have consequences to our bar though. I'm just a guy trying to open a bar.
When he was like, what did he say? I'm only human or something. There was so much shit that he said that I'm like, hey JP, that I'm like, Tom, like even if you don't know you have a script, you have to hear what you're saying now.
Sometimes I don't know. I feel like there are definitely people who don't hear themselves.
Yeah.
You know, or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I believe people when they say things. And that was my problem for a while. Okay? I just not and some people say gullible. I don't believe everything that is told to me, not that. But like on a personal level, if we on an aside, I'm assuming you're telling me the truth.
Right.
I don't get scammed easily. You can't.
Right. It's not so much that you believe what they're saying. You believe that they believe what they're saying. That's I think that's how a lot of our spicy brains work. I'm going to take what you're telling me at face value.
Yeah. I mean, that's all I got.
Not at face value. I'm going to take what you're saying to me as like you mean what you're saying.
Right. Whether I act on that or believe it or whatever, I'm not thinking that you are saying this with other intentions. And that maybe you think you know what, like, you think I know that part too. We're just this unspoken stuff. I don't like it with the unspoken rules. Speak them. How about we speak them? Because
Say the things. Say the things.
I don't like the assumption. Remember what happened, when you assume. All right? I learned that in 5th grade. Ms. Moran makes an ass at me with me. You know what I'm saying? So let's not do that. But this argument of it didn't seem like she wanted to know. How can you how can you determine someone wanting to know something they don't know yet? How can they have decided already, and you have decided that they have decided that they don't want to know the thing you are holding from them that they don't know because you haven't told them? It really seemed like she didn't follow me. She didn't
She didn't follow me. She could have fooled me anytime.
He wanted to turn her into a crazy, because then they go crazy, and then you can say, crazy Ariana, I had to leave her. Look, she's crazy. She's crazy.
She was following me. She was tracking my every single move.
Yeah.
The thing is, I think what also threw him off is that she gave him too much. I don't know. She trusted him, and that threw him off. Like,
I'm telling you, it was the eggs. The second she was like, you know what, I'll do this for you, and I'll just freeze the eggs.
Because that's what he said he wanted so bad.
I think I forgot, I didn't forget, but I always come back. That was my theory from jump, because I realized that was like right before season 9 or something. I think that was like when she was like, yep, surprise, I got my eggs frozen in the beginning of season 9. And Raquel, and then he does the engagement party for Raquel, because he liked being the like, poor me, she won't marry me, and she was open to the engagement by the end of season 9 too.
Yep.
She's like, anyone would say yes to this.
Yes.
And he is like, well, I don't want to do
That didn't
those
go with my plan. I thought you would just keep saying no.
I like being the victim here, and I get to say like, I want a baby in the future. And then when she's like, all right, we can make that happen, he's like, so you would want like a baby with me at 50? Wow. What is she even expecting? Anyway, I'm gonna go to the clinic and do it. I tried to break up with her multiple times. He says that in every relationship, and all he does is be like, it's been tough, man. And they're like, yeah, so he's like, I want us to be better. Mm-hmm.
Do you?
Me too. Let's go to therapy. I tried breaking up with her. I just told her I was miserable.
I tried breaking up with her by talking to everybody else about how miserable I was. I don't know how she didn't get to it.
And if you just like watch season 8, you're just like, we're so fucking happy. And like, he's just, what? I just wonder if they know. Like, he is training her for the reunion. Like, he probably thinks everybody does that. Because he was like, I want to stop filming.
Want to stop filming? Quit fucking filming me.
Because he doesn't really know how to actively have the emotion. He just gets louder. And I need a break. Legally, I need a break. And they're like, oh, you can have one. He's like, yeah, but I want to be able to talk to her off camera. And you don't get it. They're like, no, we get it.
I love when he's always like,
TV.
when he's like, I know. When somebody tells him something like, do you know?
No. That's how he just cuts off. Like, the fact that he knows not to let them finish the sentence. So, like, you're not listening. Ever?
He's waiting for just the right moment to cut. And he's like,
no. He loves that.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. What about you? And he finds just the right time to cut somebody off too. Like, he's diabolical.
Yeah, how do you try to break up? Exactly. He just says that a bunch. I tried. We went to therapy, and like on Valentine's Day, I tried. You literally went out to dinner, got all dressed up, brought out an old bottle of wine from your first travel, and made a big speech, got wasted, had a good time, came home, and then argued for a couple hours or something. And that was supposedly it.
Mm-hmm.
That was him trying to break up with her. But they had sex. I went to a concert after.
Just the Halloween costume. I hadn't done the math yet. But he dressed up as Rachel after he fucked her.
And she helped. He did the whole, I never saw that whole, he did her whole Instagram or whatever.
Yeah. I didn't see that either. When I saw that, I was like,
he did the whole everything. He studied. Right in your face. They hide in plain sight. Why would I do that? Everyone was there. Yeah. You are that dumb. Why would I? Whenever someone is like, why would I blah, blah, blah? They did that thing. That's what I've noticed.
Why would I say, why would I do that instead of I would never do that? Those are two different statements.
Yeah.
Two different statements.
Right. So like, usually when someone's being interrogated or whatever, they're like, but why would I? You would just, if I were to do this, I would have da 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 da. What? Why don't we talk about what did happen?
Right.
It just, I watched too many. Hi.
Oh, hi. Hold on.
That's why. I thought it was mine. I was like, she didn't ask.
Good morning.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Hi, honey.
Hi, friends. How are we doing today?
Oh, good. Just doing a little bit of VPR debrief.
Oh. I'm going to pretend like I'm up to date. So
cool.
that you guys don't feel...
The sandwich shop that Katie and Ariana are going to open, I mean, it's almost open, and it's in LA.
Then we'll go.
Yeah.
I'll go. I'll scope it out. I'll find Katie and another one. The other one. Are they still talking to Kristen? Nobody talks to Kristen anymore, right?
Oh, there's something for Kristen. Yeah.
She came back for the drama.
Yeah.
She was meant for this life. She was the first one to appear, to be like, I'm here with Ariana. We are okay.
This is real time.
I'm on season 8 right now, and I'm just in that really awkward phase where like they renegotiated their contracts, and so they suddenly have all this money, and we just like kind of are dancing around that now they all have these huge houses and they don't actually have to work, and we kind of like pretend like they still work at SUR, but you don't. Yeah.
Season 8 was not the best season.
I would almost say like skip 8, but 9 is good to watch for like the evolution of the worst of Sandoval.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like from day one, you're just like, oh.
But I'm still on 8 where they're just like Jax and Brittany, like, I don't care.
Go to 9.
Yeah.
They'll recap enough.
They always do.
Yeah. I just didn't. The reunion is all. Season 8 reunion is all Zoom.
That's right.
And it's still like 3 parts, I think.
What I can say about that Zoom reunion, though, is when everybody was like cheering on Raquel. Was that the?
They were standing. And Tom Sandoval and Ariana were like, "We stand Raquel. We love her." This was like Raquel was like, she came here. And then the next season, it's like, we are gonna propose to Raquel. And it's like, we are engaged to Raquel. And then boom.
The Zoom thing reminded me of a BuzzFeed article that I read. Kourtney Kardashian, like 7 years ago, was on some type of Good Morning America, and she pretended that her video connection froze when she didn't want to answer a question.
No way.
But they could still see her eyes blinking.
Oh my God.
And I don't even get why I think she was just asked like, hey, Kim just went through this robbery in Paris, right? And she was asked like, how's Kim doing? And like, that's too difficult? You don't have to like answer it in depth. Like you could just be like, Kim's recovering. But she's like, That's just funny.
They won't notice.
She stopped
It's
moving.
like,
Eat it.
I'm not moving.
I don't know how it ended though, because I didn't watch the actual video. I just read a BuzzFeed
painful.
article about it. It was an Australian morning show. Even more awkward.
Right.
Oh my God. That's awesome. Yeah. I just saw the video of that guy, the black reporter, who the fly goes on his mouth. His old viral video.
No.
Where he goes like from, and he goes, what the fuck? Get me out of this country, out of town. What the fuck? Flying in my mouth. Oh, it's been a hit for years. And apparently, I saw him like now talk about it. He was like, it took me a really long time to like watch it and be able to feel okay, because it was like a blooper and it was just like off, and then they dumped it in the street and some alt rock guy picked it up and put it in and put it on the internet, and he was like, I'm really sorry, news station, it got out. And they were like, ride the wave, bruh. And he was like, ah!
Oh, he was on Tosh.0.
And then Tosh.0 called him and he was like,
oh God, I forgot about that show.
It was before Tosh. Okay. Don't, yeah. But he said that was his first, like, okay, I'm accepting it. Comedy Central reached out to him and Tosh.0. Back when. But I saw it, but it's so good. I
love news bloopers.
Whenever I think of code switching, that's like perfect.
Mm-hmm.
That's my go-to.
I mean, I'm so full.
Play it somewhere.
How is
it
it,
LA?
LA's fine. I don't know. I'm just in the house. So.
Bored in the
I'm
house.
adjusting.
In the house. Bored.
Yes. I'm just like, it's so hard for me to be like, oh, I'm supposed to do stuff, but I also don't have a desk.
You don't need a desk.
I know, but like, I don't wanna.
There we go.
That's what it is.
That's
Let's
what
talk about the
acceptance
desk.
is.
Follow your heart.
I don't feel like it.
Follow
I
your
don't feel
heart.
like it though.
That means you shouldn't do it. Sometimes you need the fancy thing.
I have deadlines. I'm supposed to do things, and like I should, but I've done everything that I'm supposed to do for today.
Deadlines.
Right? And who came up with those?
Deadlines.
Men.
What dead man was like, if you don't at this time, dead?
But like, honestly, my managers are so nice to me. Like, I hadn't done something in 4 days and they're like, hiya, just checking in.
It's like coma line. I'm gonna stop. I'm gonna stop right now and listen to this guy. Nope.
I don't like just circling back. Oh God.
Yeah.
We're gonna parking lot that.
Circling back. I'm gonna piggyback off this. We're gonna just table this discussion.
When I was a trainer at one of my jobs and somebody would have a question, it wasn't like in line what we're talking about. I'm like, we're gonna go ahead and parking lot that, and I would actually.
That was so confusing to me. The parking lot. Like, I was in a meeting and I had been there for a while, and they were like, "All right, parking lot," and they drew the big parking lot. Wait. And they put it up on the wall. And
I never saw it. I never knew about that.
Yeah, the parking lot. We're just gonna set it aside for right now.
It's stop talking. It's basically we're gonna take your point.
But they do a visual representation like you're in elementary school.
I mean, what I would do is I would have like a little box on my board, and I would put the little topic in there. So essentially,
you were fully corporatized.
There's Rachel with one of my very
private usernames for 20 years. 23 years.
You too. And it worked. But
real quick, because I have to say it, Rachel is one of the best usernames. It's Baja Blast Bisexual. And
that is fantastic.
It's a really good one.
Thank you, Rachel. Bisexual. I don't like, so it's doing everything now. Let me try that sentence again.
I know where you're going.
I don't know.
Holy shit. A phone call just came in, but I don't like the fact that it's actual names, not usernames right now.
Yeah.
I'm getting
Did I freeze?
usernames on my phone and names on my iPad. Hi,
Are we
Hi,
testing
Julita.
the audio? We're good?
Are we
Julita.
okay?
Did you
We're
not hear
okay.
me?
I'm just shocked we're okay. You were getting a phone call and I'm shocked
That's
we're
true.
okay.
I know.
It was
Well,
quick too.
I got a phone call. I think it's because I'm on Do Not Disturb, but it's weird that the banner still showed up for the phone call.
Hold on. I want to put mine on Do Not Disturb. I do that.
You can do it from your iPad. It should cross over to your phone. Maybe, possibly.
Yes,
I
it's
don't know.
annoying. I never wanted to use my real name. But also it's annoying when I'm dealing with my commenters, which as you know are the general public, and their name that they've entered in is just like a bunch of emojis, and they're like, "Can I get a shout out?" And I'm like, "What exactly do I say?"
You just have to go like this.
Did you get one of those that's like there's like spaces and then there's a bug? Have you seen those? I feel like you saw one of those. I was watching your live, I feel like, and you saw one of those. And then it's just like on your screen. Terrible.
Yeah, it's just
Like
like
spaces and then a bug.
yeah, they use a tiny little bug emoji and they just do a bunch of spaces so it looked like there was a bug on my screen. And they got me. Austin got me. Austin, who was born in 2017, got me. That's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to be owned by a 7-year-old. Maybe Austin's
with
older
you,
than
though.
that. Maybe he's older than you.
Why would you do that, Megan? Why would you do that, Megan?
Yeah, but no,
Showing
that
us. Megan's just showing us.
she was just showing, and it wasn't that bad because normally it's like all the way in the middle.
And
it's like way more spaces than that.
Invisible.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, Megan. I take it back. I take my little scolding back.
I take it back. You said it very
What was that? Oh, I had something I was going to tell you guys.
Let's watch this.
What are we watching?
That Thursday here at Augusta High School that led to Chris Wood's death. The fuck is that?
Have you never seen this?
I have seen that one.
Okay. I was like, everyone has seen this.
Oh, yeah, I've seen this one. Yeah.
This is weird.
Shit flying in my mouth. The fuck? I can't see pollen. And just get the fuck out this country, motherfucker. I can't even see me.
This is my favorite.
Just back into position. That's professionalism. To
This
be
is what
able
I'm saying.
to
Back at it.
just like, you deal with something really annoying and then you're just right back there. That's professionalism.
Which,
But here's
what
the thing.
America really is.
Yeah.
But the proof is in the bloopers. We would rather see that.
Yeah.
And how often, like, I would rather see my news reporters in a little blanket and with a cookie talking about the news. Okay, so I thought that was a bloopy once because some lady, she had the blanket on and there was like a cookie in front of her, and they started live and he was like, you still... And it was hilarious and endearing and adorable, and she was black, so the best thing ever. And he was a white guy, and I was like, I remember her. Why aren't we doing this?
Yeah. Have you seen the one, the check your panties? This guy is going, he's reading off the teleprompter, but the teleprompter is incorrect. And check your panties, ladies and gentlemen. There's been a recall on, that was supposed to say pantries. And then his co-host said, I wanted to warn you, but I couldn't get in there. There's nothing much here.
News.
It's endearing.
I would watch the fucking news if I cared about the people, but they're like absolutely no personality.
Oh, God.
Undo that.
They're just so boring. There was a newscaster and a meteorologist in Omaha. They were married. They're still married. And God, this was probably back in 2000, 2001. And I was at the casino and they were there too. And so when I say like a newscaster, she was the main one and the like 5 o'clock news, like the most popular time segment. And the meteorologist is the one, Bill Ranby, that we know that a storm's coming because he rolls his sleeves up. So they're big people in Omaha, right? So we're at the casino and I'm sitting there playing blackjack and I hear people Oh, you're welcome, Nick. And I hear people like kind of bickering back and forth. Julie Cornell, who is a newscaster, is wasted, and she's screaming at her husband, Bill Ramby, I need more money. I don't want to leave. Give me some fucking money. And I'm like saying that, I'm like, because I knew I was going to see them on the news the next day, acting like everything was just fine.
Yeah.
I also caught another newscaster having an affair when I worked at the local grocery store because he kept bringing his mistress in with him.
You can't bring the mistress to the grocery store, especially if you're on the news. But like, even if you weren't on the news, the grocery store where all of the people in your community go.
How do you know his mistress?
Because they made out all the time, and he would talk about his wife, and his wife.
They made out in the grocery store?
Yes.
I don't care if you're married. I don't
Caroline,
care.
you do not go?
If you're a newlywed in the grocery store.
The grocery store isn't your hookup spot?
You're not making out in front of
I
the
saw
poster?
you buy the tomatoes.
Only behind the milk. Only in the actual freezer section behind the milk. So that if you pull out a milk, you might get another pasty surprise behind them.
I'm dead.
I thought I already pulled the gallon.
There's some extra milk back here.
Now there's going to be like an alert for all the grocery stores.
The Mariano's by me had a little bar in it, and like the carts had a little place for your cup of wine.
The Hy-Vee? Yeah. Did you say Hy-Vee?
No.
Mariano's.
Oh, oh yeah, there's Mariano's. There's a Hy-Vee, which I was like, I don't know how you know about that.
What do you say? What are you saying? Hy-Vee?
Yeah, HY-VEE. It's a grocery store.
Okay.
Yeah, and their big line was like, they're like all the people that work there have a stake in it. So it's like where there's a friendly smile in every aisle.
No, I hate it.
Oh my god, this song's in my head. Where there's a friendly smile in every aisle. Hy-Vee. Anyway, the Hy-Vees now all have full bars, like sport. I remember I was coming back from Kansas City a few years back, and we stopped in Iowa, and like a whole sports bar to help me watch a football game at a grocery store. And then you can go out there with like your beer, your wine. Yeah. And I'm like, this is terrible. If I shop while I'm drinking, the amount of shit that I'm going to bring home that I do not need.
No third spaces. Yeah. No third spaces.
No.
Yeah, because there's like the Starbucks downstairs, and then you go upstairs, and then there's like music. There would be like people playing music next to the oranges. But then they were like, all right, partition a little bit, but it's a bar.
I don't know.
And you can get wine from the wine section.
Let's say you're going on a date, right? You're on your app, and the person suggests, hey, do you want to meet at Mariano's? And then you're like, meet at the
like, do you want to go to the
No, there's a bar there. The Mariano's bar, you idiot. Not the grocery store part.
No, they'll be like, hey, do you want to, I know this really cute, they play live music, and there's so much selection. They have something for everybody. They have cold food, hot food. They've got everything. And you just show up, and you go up the escalator, and it's right there. You'll be able to hear it. Yeah. It's accurate. It's the truth.
Why do I feel like some man has probably set that date up already?
Oh, I am sure of it.
Yeah.
They could do coffee downstairs and then come up, and then,
we
and
can make it a whole day date. Pick up some groceries.
Yeah.
They're just getting their errands done. They need someone to body double them for grocery shopping like I do.
And the wine is like $5 because it's from right there.
Right.
I feel like encouraging people to get drunk in a grocery store could lead to some unintended consequences, right? Like those displays that, they've created a smiley face out of Mountain Dew. The way I said Mountain Dew right there.
That was very
precarious.
Very specific. That was very specific. A smiley face out of Mountain Dew.
Well, you know what I've been thinking about? Because I saw, you know what I saw in the grocery store? Hard Sunny D.
Yeah. Yeah. Who asked for that?
It's already hard. I know that it's not alcoholic, but it's
also not orange juice. Like Sunny D is the weirdest.
It's a whole other thing.
But like, the packaging, the hard is in the same font as the 99 is next to a big one. Oh, kids meal for $1.99. It's like Sunny D hard. That's an accident waiting to happen, is it not? Like, that is and you know what? One of my commenters said yesterday?
For breakfast.
That in 2 months, hard Capri Sun is coming out.
That's your prediction, or that's happening?
That's what someone said, that it's in the works.
Stop it. They already have pouches of booze.
We already have that also. Like, they make those things.
But can you imagine some parent putting together like a school lunch for their kid and grabbing the wrong one out?
Yeah.
Next thing you know, Johnny's on the playground hurling cookies because he got drunk at lunch.
And also, I can't find regular Baja Blast anywhere but Taco Bell, but I can buy hard Baja Blast at a grocery store.
There's a hard Baja Blast?
Didn't know.
Yes.
We don't need to add alcohol to everything.
But then how will you
learn nothing from the Four Loko? Did we learn nothing from the Four Loko?
That's what I said. I said it sounds like Four Loko for breakfast.
Yeah.
It's like just the breakfast version.
Yeah.
Gross. I don't think that's a good idea. Fran, your bed's inside out.
We just don't have to. Yeah.
What?
I don't know what I was saying.
Someone said I'm mad about hard Arizona. I hate sweet tea with alcohol. Or tea of any kind.
There's an Arizona, like a hard Arizona.
There's a hard Arizona?
Someone just said that.
Also, I don't like that hard is the word. And we're all supposed to just know what that means.
I gotta see if
like
it's
when I was little, I distinctly remember a time where I asked if I could have a Mike's Hard Lemonade, and they're like,
there is.
Yeah,
That's
I believe
not for kids.
Because I believe
like it's for kids.
Arizona hard.
But do they sell it next to the regular ones? Because I've never noticed that.
And it's the flavors. There's a hard green tea.
Ew. Do they not
are
realize
you trying to
alcohol
do
is
today?
icky? It's icky.
Green tea.
Yeah. That's so
Difficult drink. It's just hard to open. It's hard iced tea. That's it.
Yeah.
Why? Yeah. Why do we add hard to it?
I don't see haze. Portia is also good.
No haze for y'all?
No, we had an air quality warning earlier this week, but I didn't see anything here.
Yeah.
Monster alcohol?
Okay, so no, but I will tell you that in my youth,
Tea. I'm done.
when I was like in my late 20s, my pregame drink, oh God, was Monster with UV blue vodka.
Why was it blue? And what? And can we? What does blue taste like?
Can we? What? Go.
Like a blue raspberry.
But there's no such thing as a blue raspberry
Right,
in nature.
right.
Oh, I've done this thing. There is something that is like blue raspberry flavor, but there is no. Yeah, it's called a something. And in England, they'd be like lingonberry, and that's the closest.
The lingonberry, yes, of course.
The snozzberries taste like snozzberries.
Well, they've got the they think that's a British thing. Actually, no, because in my IHOP there's lingonberry crepes, and they're authentic as hell. So,
somebody said that you were about to. Have you ever had a
Loganberry?
yeah.
Have you ever had it? Where? And you?
I know. That was me. Haha.
I was just doing it now for me. This wasn't about you all the time, Caroline.
You're absolutely right.
Sometimes we focus on other people.
I like hearing it.
And that's a lesson I'm constantly learning, right? I'm always having to remember that one.
This is the thing when it's like some warning label that has to come with like adult autistic relationships. There has to be something where like you will be confronted with yourself all the time. Because some people will be like, Why are you explaining what a friend is to me right now? I think I.
But I just saw Domestic Blisters, and she was talking about how she interviewed all these autistic people, and she's like, the criteria that says that, trouble maintaining and making relationships, that all of the people that she interviewed for her podcast didn't have any trouble making and maintaining relationships with other autistic people, other neurodivergent people.
Yeah.
It's just making and maintaining relationships with people that why would that be easy? Why would it be easy to like vibe with someone who's not on your vibes? I remember I was like to my friend when I was 15 years old, how often do you think about death? And she's like, never. And I'm like, yeah, me neither. Never at all.
Yeah, no, not at all, ever.
One of my friends growing up, I mean, not growing up, she's still my friend, but I would say she's definitely neurotypical, but it took a balance. Like, she would be like, do you not care about me? Like, at first, I'm like, no. It's that I forget you exist for a while.
Explaining object.
I love you. But after like 20 years, she's like, no, I just know now.
Because people will pull little tests on you. They'll be like, well, I decided one day that I was going to stop texting you until you texted me and see if you cared about our relationship.
I hate those videos when they're like,
test.
Yeah, no.
And then you fail the test because you were really deep in your Animal Crossing fixation or whatever. And it's not like you reached out to anyone in that time.
Right.
But you failed the test.
Right.
And now I don't want to test. I don't want to do it to find out I failed, because you're not going to say I failed. You're just going to like let me know somehow I failed. And then when I don't get the hint, which I won't, we're going to hang out and you're going to be upset. And I'm not going to understand what is going on.
Yeah.
But you're going to feel the tension.
Yeah, I'm going to feel it. I'm going to feel it. But I'm not going to understand that or I'll feel like maybe I'm the reason, but I'll ask you and then you'll be like, I'm fine.
And then we go with that, I'm fine. It makes me think, you know that Key and Peele skit where they're texting back and forth and the contexts are different? That's like, it makes me think of that. I don't care. And I'm on the other end, I'm like, yeah, I don't care. Like,
yeah, like, sure.
Like,
maybe another time if you're fine.
I meant the words that I said. I don't care.
Like, literally.
Yeah.
I can take it or leave it. And if I care,
yes, you will know that I care.
And so Portia is learning also that when I tell you something, that is all the things I know about that thing. Okay? When I tell you I am running out of storage on my phone, don't you dare ask me how much do you have left.
I used to use like I'm running out of storage on my phone.
And then it reminds me when Caroline was like, oh, I just know Oreos are vegan. And Portia goes, oh, what kind of butter do they use? I said,
Caroline,
that's not how this works.
I hold my facts to be self-evident.
I'm giving you the information. Listen, because I will keep going if there's more. I'm running out.
Oh, how much? I'm learning that when Rebecca stops talking.
Time for a new phone.
When Rebecca stops talking, that is when the facts are, that's when all the information that she has is done.
There's no follow.
There's no
more specific?
Portia knows everything. And maybe that's a misconception I have, but that is the conception. Like, literally yesterday, someone was delivering a dresser, and it made perfect sense to me that I should ask Portia how much to tip them, because Portia knows these things, and she did know.
Yep.
So
we're learning each other.
Yeah.
And we are being confronted with ourselves, and it's fine.
Well, here's the deal. I think another thing too is like being perceived this way, it just makes me feel safer instead of somebody either like tiptoeing around the fact that I've got some weirdness and like I need those little details and just telling me like, I don't know them, but if I had them, I would tell you, as opposed to like, yeah, that's cute. Don't do that. I don't like being placated.
I know.
Say
things. I'm just like,
say them
want to. I'm still mindful of, you know.
Do your best if you want to.
Everything. If she gives that a command right behind it, it's like, if you want to.
Be
Because
gentle
she
with
doesn't like being
yourself.
told what
Be
to do.
patient.
If you want
So
to.
she's helping along with that.
It is your choice.
Yeah, you still have autonomy. At the end of the day, Caroline, you get to choose what's best.
Why is it me? Why is it me now? I do have autonomy.
Yes, I do.
Tyler,
Right,
like,
Portia,
talk
right?
about forgetting stuff.
Don't I?
The thing about Tyler is like he legitimately forgets that he told you something the first 15 times that he tells you, and he has the same excitement about telling you because it's to him. And so, you know what? For me, I just let him think that he's telling me this thing for the first time. It's like 50 first dates, right? What's the point in telling him we've been here, honey? He's on his journey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's me. I'm that person. My dad did it. My mom does it. I'm now doing it. I'm like, oh, I'm telling this. Live is the worst because I'm like, well, there's someone here who hasn't heard it. Let's do the same performance every time.
Well, there are people here who haven't heard it though.
Right. No, so it's good, but
But what's so funny is that for literal, like the first 5 times our friend came over, he says, "Have you ever watched King of the Hill?" And we watched King of the Hill with that friend the first 5 times they came over. Like, yes, he's seen it. He's seen it with us. He sat in our laps while he watched it.
That's very.
I braided his hair, Bobby. I forgot about that show. I think the reason why I know a lot of things is I read a lot of books when I was young. Read all the time. Like I was that kid that would seem like I was popular, but not really because I didn't fit with anybody, but everybody liked me, if that makes sense. So to entertain myself, I just read a ton of books. And I don't know how I have room for anything new up here, but seemingly.
Did you read nonfiction?
Nonfiction, fiction, everything. Just read.
I didn't read as much as I bragged about my reading level. Like I wasn't putting it to use, but I would take my little AR test and I'd be like, "Hey, what color is the sticker on your library books?" Because I'm supposed to get the ones with the brown sticker, but there aren't a lot because that's 11th grade reading level.
Look at me.
I can read quite well.
I've never heard of that AR test.
Oh, I don't know what it stands for. Did you have them?
An AR
had
test?
this system. Yeah, they were called AR tests. And like basically every book that a kid could read had an online quiz for it. And you would just do the quiz at the end to prove that you read the book, I guess. To prove that you understood the book.
Oh, an accelerated reader test.
Oh,
I don't think I took them.
I didn't. That
I
did
know
not.
that-
Because the way y'all responded, it sounds like it was real for you. Because everyone's like, yes. I'm like,
Yeah.
They are. No, because it was like all the time. You were constantly retested on your AR level. And it's not great, right? You start testing kids in kindergarten and be like, okay, let's pit the readers against each other. We'll make the kids want to read better by comparing themselves to their peers.
Did you guys have Book It when you were in school?
Book it?
Books.
Yeah. Did you have a Book It program?
Sounds familiar, but
It was with Pizza Hut, and like you had to read so many books, and you would take your little sheet in, and you get like a sticker on your button, and then you can get like a personal pan pizza.
yeah.
Man, I got so many fucking pizzas. I remember the box tops. My brother hated
My
reading
mom
when we were
still
younger.
does those, I think.
And my mom would take us to the library on base. And while she was like struggling to get him to pick out a book, I would generally read like a YA book in the hour that we were there. Like I would just read. So when that Book It thing came around, I'm like, and I get pizza? Yeah.
Yeah, you probably had like a actual education maybe in the UK. Actually, you know what? No, because on what?
I was going to say, on what? On everything they colonized?
Yeah, I mean, like, but at least they were like, we care about this. We're gonna teach a thing. And
Did you have to sell anything at your schools?
Yes.
yes.
What did you sell?
Plus my mom made me, like I was in Girl Scouts until
Fundraisers?
senior in high school.
What were your fundraisers selling? Like, I sold wrapping paper, I sold magazine subscriptions, I just got people to give me money for Jump Rope for Heart. March of Dimes, we just got people to give us money.
I know that we had like a
cookie dough.
Cookie dough, we sold that, and then like a pamphlet of desserts or a pamphlet of other things.
Stuff.
That
Yeah.
people
But
could
the
sell.
way they would bring in like a Billy Mays type guy, literally at the school and they had this like cash machine, right? And they would say, oh yeah, and if you sell this much, you get to stand in the cash machine. And then they bring someone up who would stand in this glass box and have a bunch of ones circling around.
To grab them.
They'd grab them and they'd grab them and they'd be like, look, little Johnny just got his hands full of cash. That could be you. Like, why? It's MLMs of middle school.
Yeah.
Why do they have us? And we're fundraising for the
Fundraising. I would like to do an audit as to where those funds went.
And then you get something for selling. Like, where does the money? What? The most expensive bag of candy.
And where does that money go? Because the educational system did not get any bigger or any better.
They don't get paid directly to.
Did the yo-yo sales go to us? Do you remember? Did they come into your school and sell yo-yos?
No.
I had a yo-yo phase, but I don't think it was based off of people coming to the school.
Somebody came to the school. They allowed a yo-yo man to set up camp at the school and be like, hey, kids, you want to try a yo-yo?
What world are we living in?
It's like it's the reality that we're in, or like it doesn't make any sense. The simulation.
We're all wearing, not as much now, but the whole jeans thing tripped me up. Like, we're like, yeah, jeans. They're uncomfortable, but we all wear them as regular, the most basic of pants. And then when I think Carnival Jedi, I was like, yeah, imagine you're just an alien that comes here and everyone's wearing blue pants. And people were not happy that she said blue pants.
Oh, no, they were not.
Denim. And she was like,
but it doesn't have to be that color.
yeah.
We make it that color, right? It doesn't come out of the earth blue.
I don't know.
I don't know. I talk out my ass
come
sometimes about things I have no idea about.
No, I have no idea. I'm with you, but I just remember like people were upset.
They were really mad. But where does denim come from?
Cotton?
Wow.
I didn't mean that. Okay,
joke?
this is
So
not what I
close
meant
to
by that.
Juneteenth,
What I meant by this is I have no idea.
It's
You're
almost
right, you're absolutely
Juneteenth.
right. I'd like to take this opportunity to apologize for my sins, my
Not
future
her being
sins.
right though. It's cotton.
Is it?
No. Once again, black people.
Oh my god! And they were created to like dig in the. That's what in business school they're like. What you gotta do is be Levi's, because there was all these gold mining people, and you were only certain people were allowed to actually mine for golds, like by heritage or something. And this German guy, I don't know, was like, so I'm German, so I'm not allowed to mine, but what I can do is make pants for them. They are mining, and they got to be hard pants, I guess. And he made Levi's, and we still wear them.
Yes.
I'm just saying.
Only
You know what I'm gonna
certain
do? You know what I'm
people
gonna do
are.
later on is I'm gonna look up the process for creating denim, because I'm not like I can't like cotton and denim. I
Like,
get
mush
it, but
together really hard. Like that.
like what did it?
I just showed you.
Were you not paying attention? I don't think I was paying attention.
She
Bruh,
explained
like-
the entire process to make jeans just now. Did you not hear that?
No.
Wow, you just don't listen to black women.
I guess everything that you said is a lie, Portia.
Wow. So
This
you
just
out
in.
here-
Portia
you're
doesn't actually listen to
basically
black women.
Donald Trump. So what you're saying is, sorry.
What
Yesterday was Wednesday. Okay. I got like 4 messages telling me I'm racist, so I'm
Is
just
it
leaning in.
Wednesday?
No.
Yesterday was Wednesday.
Man, and like clockwork. Like
Wednesdays are anytime I go public, it's like people are like, "It's my day." Right.
My time to
I go public. And they're
What
like,
if I were a black woman whisperer?
Yeah,
Almost-
then what? Yeah. And that's exhausting.
I have
I also
one
feel
from
like-
my old apartment that when me and Ishmael sitting there, and I was like, "Hey, you want to hear a good one?" And this was like 2 years ago. We were just like, "Oh,
So clever. And I want to be like, you have a whole week between public dates. Be original.
they're saying the same thing. Do they think they are eating?
Are
Like,
they
do they
waiting?
think?
Are they waiting? Do they come back every Wednesday?
I mean, some people are consistent.
Yeah.
I had to actually block one because one person was like, "Hey, it's been 2 months and you still haven't blocked me," on like a Wednesday that I went public. And I was like,
Hear me. That's the most annoying thing. And the little kids, they play those games and they don't want the consequences, and they come in and be like, "Oh my God, block me, please." Literally block them, and they come in on another account. "You blocked my friend and he didn't mean it." I don't care.
Like, why did I get muted? I think that's the weirdest thing, to
Oh,
go
God.
on my top video and ask why you were muted in my live while I am still live.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get the answer. Why?
Because
we're
I'm still
here.
live.
And
Yeah.
then by the time I see it, like, just reasonably, guys, by the time I see it, do you think I remember? And it wasn't even me. I was just talking. I don't
Right.
touch.
But also, like, you're just muted for the live. Calm down.
Right.
Wait a day.
You
Like,
still have access. Just
yeah. You just can't talk.
they
So
hate hearing that.
hard.
That's what it was.
That's tough not to talk.
Walk.
It's really hard.
Because I had something that I wanted her to hear. I'm kind of upset because I really don't like the way her name says.
Imagine it were the other way. I would go insane. Who's y'all?
Yeah.
Like,
You know
in
what,
the
that-
sentence, in the doing it, they're like, would it be racist if you people got mad at the...
You people, huh?
Oh, yeah. Oh, with their whole chest. Just... It's... And that's why I don't
that argument of, like, if we flipped it around and you did it, so you could acknowledge that it's not fantastic behavior.
Like, I don't acknowledge it ever because I'm just like, so...
So
Like,
dumb.
it's nonsense, but I like having fun with it. I find that really funny. And like, ooh, what fun sound can I use now? On another person just very upset at my existence. My page would be private. They'll see a repost. Now people see my reposts.
And they get to you there.
And it's just an emoji. And they're like, "You are racist as fuck." Wow, you're obsessed. All they see is my name and like this little image. They don't see any videos.
Nothing.
Right? Because I'm private. They are so when you realize that it goes that deep that quickly,
Yeah.
that's when you just gotta, be like, look at how upset. And just talk to the people like, this is how serious it has
Look.
gotten.
An emoji.
I literally would just be
Don't
like,
do that, right?
and then just and it's the internet.
It's the internet.
Imagine a real oppression.
Oh man.
Could not handle it. But I do want to. Well, so last time I asked, like, oh, do you think this person knows that they're reciting a script that other people have said? They were like, I'm not, and just doing the script, saying that they weren't. So I guess they don't know. So they really think it's their original thought. Like, if I were Black Woman Whisperer. So I think happens is they see it and they feel something, and instead of like waiting a moment, they're like, because this made me feel something,
I'm gonna make
that
you feel
it
something.
must be wrong, and I need to because if it were me, and now I have to put if it were me on her. So if you had to feel this, that's like, oh,
Yeah.
just sit with like one more second, like
Just
question
1 second more. Just one
1 second more.
one
Is this
second.
actually offensive, or
Yeah.
have you just never
It's
'Cause
so
I get this
interesting
respond?
because, like, that's right. Those are people that identify as Republicans, etc. But the people on the left do the exact same thing, where they hear one thing and rather than like assessing, is this actually causing harm? Is this actually wrong? We just go full in like, no, you said that thing that I heard somewhere else that you're not supposed to say that exact thing. And so like, please, I just want to let you know, you're doing something you wouldn't want to be doing. Like, I know you're a good person, but you did this thing.
It's too much. It's you've gone back around, boomerang to racism.
I think when people, there was a conversation I heard somewhere else, I don't remember, but when people, especially people go right from the far right to all the way to the left, and they skip all that stuff in the middle.
Yeah, that's Nico's,
Then that's when they start hearing words, and that's when words that actually mean something become buzzwords, and they just start throwing it out. So this one situation, they have no nuance behind what happened. They don't understand what's going on, but they're like, I saw somewhere else, like you said, Caroline, I saw somewhere else that this is wrong, and now you were awful. You're the worst person ever. I'm like, how are you the arbiter now of what's right and wrong or good and bad? Like,
if it's a white person and they're upset, that doesn't mean it's bad. Because how do they know, right? You literally,
can we, I don't know, mute or block the Irish who said truth is considered to be alt-right?
Ugh. So it's crazy. So it turns out, not black, the right wants to police and manage behavior. The left wants to police and manage language. They only know one way of operating, and it's domination through hierarchies. And like if you don't release your analysis, stop trying and listen to black women instead. So like, unless a black woman comes to me and says, hey, sis, I want you to know something, I am not taking advice. You have the wrong foundation to know what's right and wrong, because you think it's like managing. It is not offending. Like the fact that you think the worst thing you could do, not you, is offend a black person. What do you think happens? You offend us all the time. Like we're gonna come undone. This fear, that's all you. You're terrifying. You're scared of what you would do if you got hurt, because you are terrifying. Like,
right.
But
isn't it just fascinating that the person you just muted gifted you roses? Like, isn't it fascinating how they do that?
Is it because I said the left?
Possibly. You know what?
I don't care. I honestly, because it's true.
When it comes to like the behavior of, I don't know if this person's white or not, but I'm going to go ahead and say that 99.9% sure that they are white. Even though we can predict the behavior that's going to happen, there is still sometimes like Sometimes I'm like, every now and then it's like I didn't quite expect that.
That's a choice. That's
a decision.
I think that like a lot of leftists, a lot of liberals and stuff, I see people being like, I'm really torn about this video that my favorite creator made. I'm trying to make up my mind to see if I have to unfollow them. Like one video, they don't even know where they stand on it, but like they have to figure out how, like they have to go to other people's pages, get their like stitches and duets to figure out what's the opinion we've agreed upon about what this person said.
Yeah, 100%. Because we have been trained to look for that. That doesn't come out of nowhere. I am working on the 6 C's of safety. And you like that because it's like, but it's an S and a C, but it's stupid because English is stupid, The 6 C's of safety. So right now, and in white supremacy, like safety feels like comfort, control, and certainty, right? If you can feel certain about you being comfortable and in control of the situation, that's how you think you're gonna feel safe. Has it worked yet? No. But that's, these are just attributes to achieve. They are fixed positions. But real safety comes from more of a preparedness standpoint of conflict resolution, critical thinking, and compassion. It takes a little bit more, but those are skills. They're not just attributes.
Those C's?
Huh?
You came up with those C's?
I did.
Those are great. Those are really,
it takes a while, a lot of sitting and, and the stuff. But yeah. So I want to I'm deciding if it's like a whiteboard thing or if I want to just do a podcast about it. Yeah.
I was gonna say, yeah, if you want to do both.
Yeah, I'm like writing out some of my thoughts about it, but like, because privilege is on that initial safety side. Privilege is feeling certain and safe and comfortable. Is it? But that's what you're being sold, right? You get to sit up here and watch, and that's your life. But you won't get sunburnt. You need some, that's not it. Conflict resolution, critical thinking, and compassion get you anywhere you need to go. Get you community, preparedness, and like other people matter. Because in the first scenario, it's like, oh, we're all individualism. It's like,
all for myself. It's all me.
Right. Mm-hmm. So instead of like, things will happen and they should happen. You should have conflict. What? Mm-hmm. That makes sense. We're all people. It shouldn't be seen as anything. I'd actually say conflict acceptance before resolution. Because
we talked about that conflict. Yeah, you need acceptance before you can learn how to resolve it.
Yeah, it's actually acceptance. I wrote acceptance because
that's so good.
Because white people jump to resolution so fast. They're just like, how do we
resolution or avoidance? One of the two. Like they have to.
They avoid and then
so conditioned to believe that conflict in itself, by itself, is bad, which is just not true. Like that's just not the case. You can have
nothing else. Does that make sense?
Exactly. You can have like a difference of opinions. You can have a difference of opinions that involves like a communication thing too. And it's not the worst thing in the world. But if you fly to, well, they're upset that I feel this way and I'm upset that they feel this way, then of course you're going to avoid it.
Like you need to be challenged.
Yes.
Yeah. The idea of conflict resolution has done so much harm to particularly like heteronormative relationships in that somebody can't say like, we're so trained to need to find a solution if someone has to say something and just needs to get something off their chest. But there's so many times where there's no immediate action to be taken. There's nothing that you need to do, but we're so uncomfortable with sitting like with that feeling of, oh, I made someone mad. We need to get used to like being okay with making someone mad. Like,
because it happens anyway.
It happens anyway.
You have to remember that it happens anyway. But being blind to it or making yourself unaware of it does not change that. So being concerned about offending someone with your new awareness makes no sense.
Doesn't.
Because you think about also like at a stop sign, the safe thing may feel like, do I go? It's safest to stay here forever and never move, honestly. Or is it safer to participate in the flow of traffic and one goes, oh, can you hear me though?
I can.
Okay. But then one goes, another goes, you participate. Yeah.
Oh, you're getting a call.
Yeah.
Okay. There's two things that I want to say. Mimi, I'm going to come back to your question, Mimi, because there's two things that I want to say. Mimi, I'm going to come back to your question, Mimi, because there's two things that I want to say. Mimi, I'm going to come back to your question, Mimi. Okay.
Why didn't it?
Okay, I can hear you. I'm gonna wait for her to come back in.
Yeah.
Because there's something that she said. But
and also, when you say just, that should indicate
that should stop you right there. That's what I'm gonna say. If it's
that you've taken this big thing and you're just like, okay, moving forward now. This was just a nothing. I mean, what does that even mean?
You can't, and plus if you move forward, that doesn't resolve the stuff that you had and it stays with you. So if you don't have conflict, if something happens, and conflict is not, again, it's not always this big inherent thing. Conflict is not a screaming match. It's not a fight. Conflict is just a difference of opinions. That's conflict, conflicting opinions. So if you don't address that, then it stays with you. And as you move forward, it's slowing you down or it's weighing you down. It's pissing you off because it's still right there. It's just addressing it, acknowledging it, and dealing with it, moving on. Then it's not there. And then you can move forward without towing a truck behind you. That's the biggest thing. And then, any type of conflict.
No,
not even disagreement. It's just conflict is just differing opinions.
So that's the thing. It's not confrontation. It's not a disagreement. So it's not fighting. It's literally just, hey, you said something, and the conflict may just happen within me, where I'm like, I agree with her most of the time, and I agree with this position, but I've always held this position. Now I have a conflict.
It's a conflicting
Typically what happens is I shut down what she has to say because I've always been, in comments, I'm like, instead of saying there's a conflict here, that's interesting. And I've always felt this, but now I have this. How do they fit together? What is happening here? The way we've been trained to learn is from multiple choice. Like, we have been fucked over by multiple choice, and other countries don't do them at all because it doesn't make any sense. You don't have to know it. You have to be able to find a pick it from what you were given, right? You have shitty choices here. You pick one. But yeah, conflict is been taught to be uncomfortable.
Confrontation. That's what it's been taught to be. Right. Conflict is confrontation. Where somebody said like communication. Conflict is also, it should just be a communication thing.
Yeah, I have a time conflict. I have two things happening at once. I need to communicate that, these two things are conflicting, and but accepting it and not having to resolve it, not having to move forward. You just say, that made me feel kind of weird.
Right.
And then that person goes, oh, I didn't realize. And then maybe that's what we leave it at for right now.
Right, because resolution looks a lot of different ways. Like sometimes resolution is just saying the thing. Like, I don't agree with you on this. Great. And you don't always have to explain why you don't agree. Like, you can just not agree. It's no different than no being a complete sentence. If you don't agree, you don't agree.
The whole multiple choice thing is hitting me hard. Like, we really do in America, like, teach kids how to find the answer that most other kids will choose. Not to find not to find the right answer.
Or their own answer.
They're playing like Family Feud with these multiple choice questions.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So you get hints, and someone's always helping you along the way. So the answer isn't dog. It's got to be either 4, 5, 6, or 7. But like at some point, I remember I hate true or false questions because I can put emphasis on different syllables and words and make it sound a little different and to myself and overthink it. And there's no room for me in there. There's the right answer and there's the wrong answer. You pass or you fail. And if you fail, I had called it, we talk about the school to prison pipeline. There's also, it's either school to prison or school to patriarchy. You have no choices. You have to fall in line, because that's it. Or you get homeschooled and that's a different cult. But there's no consideration for different, like multiple choice is crazy. That's really weird.
It's weird because, it's weird. Like we're like tricked into thinking it's our, yeah.
And then we spend so much time like, well, see, if it's been D for so long, I don't want it to be D again. It's A. Like I would,
And then immediately, if you're in a high school class and after you get your test done, what did you put for number, a tricky question, what did you put for number 7? Mm-hmm. And it doesn't matter how well you knew the material. Your confidence is so affected by what other people put for number 7. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Fascinating.
And in business school, the craziest, I feel like there's something here I just haven't, it's patriarchy. But white guys would get such good grades and then they would fight for more points because they, well, you said this, and then the teacher, they would just stand there for enough, and they would get more. They go from an A to like an extra A. But I just would never do that. Like, I might have an issue from my desk, but I'm not going up and being like, well, you saw, but technically, and I don't know. It was consistent. Like, they always were like, no, this isn't right. And like going up to the professor.
I don't like it. What are your thoughts on extra credit?
So many times extra credit in my school experience was shit that you couldn't control. Shit like, okay, if you go to the Chick-fil-A family night on Tuesday, you'll get extra credit. But that's not a choice that a kid without a car can make. There was a lot of those.
It's not evenly balanced.
I didn't know. Like homework is stupid.
It is. We talked before about like the fact that we have kids working from the minute they go to school because they're in school for 8 hours a day, 5 days a week.
And they're fundraising too.
And they're fundraising. So they're working. So they already have, like, if we think about kids as actual human beings, we're sending them to work, right? And then we're putting them through overtime because they have their homework they bring home with them. And then to try to reward them. It's like, here's some extra credit, but extra credit means more work. So it's not really actually a reward.
Even in my high school, if you had an after school job, yeah, you're busy, you have your after school job. If you didn't have an after school job, you're expected to have an after school activity that takes up all of your time. It's so rare to find someone who after school, their time was their own. Nobody had that situation.
Now, I started working at 15, and I feel like I told you guys this already, but I started working at 15, and at the time we could work 16 hours a week. That was like the labor laws. And when I turned 16, and I stopped playing sports because I blew my knees out, I was working 40 hours a week. So I was in school.
That's insane.
I was also in band. So I had like band, like games and everything. And then I worked 40 hours a week.
What instrument?
Huh? In band, I played the clarinet, but then I taught myself how to play the drums because I wanted to play the drums. My mom's like, I don't want that noise in my house. And I'm like, So I played the clarinet.
I was like clarinet. Yeah.
And then like the drum line was so fun. And my mom, so I would like mess around. My friend Kelly taught me how to play the drums. And so when we were up in the stands in the game, I'd get down there and play the drum line. My mom's like, oh, it would have been so nice for you to be on the drum line. Sure would have, Glenda. Would have been fantastic. But yeah.
40 hours a week.
40 hours a week.
You're still, for your college applications, supposed to have that much volunteer time.
Also, I can speak to that because I said it and I think it stumped you. My mom kept me in Girl Scouts until I was a senior in high school. So, if you're listening, so at 16 years old, at 16, school, band, work, Girl Scouts, and then my church activities. I don't know what free time means.
Did you ever, would teenage Portia have ever felt like she could speak up and say, I want to quit one of these things?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. No. That was not my experience at all. My mom, she just made us adults. My brother's experience is slightly different because he kept playing sports. So his focus was sports. He was in school, but then he was in basketball, baseball, and then training for either one of those, in the seasons. But yeah. I tried to quit Girl Scouts. My mom's like, but you've gone this far. And that was now that I think about it, whoa. She's like, you've gone this far. And that's not reason enough for me to say, yeah, but I hate it.
It's sunk cost.
I had to see it through. I had to see it through.
No, you don't. That is the man.
That's the man.
I remember I didn't have a job the summer before college, and my mom was just so annoyed at me that whole summer. And everything I did wrong, right? She came home and I hadn't run the dishwasher yet. I just had loaded the dishwasher. Why? You're so lazy. What have you been doing all day? And then one day I'm like, are you mad at me that I'm not working this summer? All right. And she's like, yeah, I guess I'm pissed that I'm working and you're not.
As you're a child.
And that you're the one.
And it's your
why
fault.
Is this happening?
Did I tell you guys about the chore book that my mom put together for me when I was 14?
No.
Maybe, okay, hold on a second. Let me do some math here. We moved to Papillion when I was 12. I got that at 12 or 13 when my mom would go to work and we stayed at home. And my mom was like, you don't have to have any supervision or anything. So she's like, but here's your chore book. And it was those folders that have the laminated, or not the laminated, but that clear thing on the front. And then the little binder. It had everything in there. So dishes, laundry, mopping the floor, vacuuming and everything. And so mopping the floor had to be on the floor, not with a mop. We had a dishwasher that my mom loved for us to wash the dishes in the sink first and then load the dishwasher. And then that only slowed down because then at 14, I started babysitting, but then I still have my chore. If I think about it, I have been working my entire life.
And parents do this to their kids. I feel like part of it is the Christian idea of, if you're not struggling, you're not doing it right.
Yep.
Right. The virtue of...
There's no testimony without test. You can't spell testimony without test.
Yeah. But they're also in my mom's case, the reason she was kind of lashing out at me that summer was because she didn't want to be commuting. You know, she didn't want to be waking up at 5 a.m. to commute to Charlotte and then having a 2-hour drive home after that and not getting home till 7. Yeah, that was miserable. Yeah. And like, that just people lash out at people, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and that is okay to recognize for them, but it's like, okay, so you want me to now do that?
No, but then like when I told my mom that, it stopped. All that behavior stopped. Like she realized what she was doing to me, and it stopped for the rest of the summer because like I'm like, I could get a job. Like you told me not to worry about it. You know, there's conflicting things. Like on the one hand, they want us to have the childhood they never had, and on the other hand,
there's the natural.
Yeah, and so like she told me, no, it's your last summer before college. Enjoy yourself. But that at the same time is that attitude.
Yeah. But once you realize, I can see that. I feel like when I yell at Fran sometimes, like when I take it personally, that she is smelling this blade of grass for 5 minutes and making me look like a terrible parent because I said drag her away from it. And I feel like I'm being personally attacked sometimes. Yes. And then I literally have to, like, I get viscerally annoyed. And then I'm like, yeah, I literally like, she is not doing this to me. Yeah. And I can be like, all right, it goes away.
Yeah.
But sometimes people don't see that.
The things that we've been conditioned to share with other people is so backwards. Like it doesn't make any sense. Like we're conditioned to share struggle and strife. Like we want people to go through what we went through.
No, she's not a mom.
She's a dog mom. But that makes more sense to share that struggle and that strife. I had it so hard, so you should too, because then you will appreciate it better when you have something good, as opposed to just sharing good, like wanting, it's just so fucking backwards.
But I think the additional, like the religious component and that virtuousness of suffering has a strong tie there. Because I didn't get a lot of that. 100%. I didn't get a lot, but from society, I got the vibe of like, I was up till 2 a.m. and I was like, okay. But I would just like hang out in my room and do stuff. So it's not like she was watching me while she was struggling, but she was also later in life when she had kids. So it was some balance there, but I would get it even in my relationships sometimes, or when I started with TikTok, and it doesn't look like it's work. It looks like I'm just on my phone, on the couch. And I would feel bad about everything. Because if he was to do one thing, I was like, you know, I'm doing things. It's part of work, you know?
Yeah.
And some of that was me. And some of that was him, too. Because he was in a different place and not sure about what he was doing. And then in that moment, you just look at that person sitting there on the couch. And you're just like, you are what's wrong with the world. You know, regular stuff like that.
Yeah.
What do we do? Just, I guess, just say it out loud a lot.
Yeah. Huh.
Because I feel like that Christianity is real serious. Like with the dude carrying the fucking thing.
Well, I just have. No, sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Like the cross thing. Complete offshoot from what we're talking about. But I saw a tweet and it was like, if you could talk to God, what questions would you have? And one of the things that I did, because I did this when I was like super elevated last night, I'm like, why did your son have to die to forgive everybody for all their sins that they're still going to be punished for? But then I think about this, like you're right. Like that's how it starts. This man who is going to be the savior goes through the worst type of pain and has to carry the thing that he's going to be killed on to the place he's going to be killed, all for our.
That's what we're doing. I don't want to be Jesus. I do not subscribe.
I did not subscribe to be.
I'm a member.
Because they think, you know, the earth is for the struggle, and then you'll be rewarded.
Yeah.
And then you'll go to heaven.
They're saying that like now. I just saw a TikTok of a woman saying, you know, because they believe that this is it. They believe that this life is it, and they want it to be good, but they don't realize that this isn't it. They see the earth as a one-time plastic use or one-use plastic.
Yeah, I saw that video.
I saw it, and I was like, Yep.
But see, here's why it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, you hear about, like, I grew up in the church, so Christianity is ingrained, and it, like, I like to get away from that. But like you said, the earth is the bad place that you just have to make it through to get to the good place. If we think rationally, why wouldn't you just make earth the good place? Like, this need to struggle before you can have something good, and you can have everlasting.
It's got to be terrible and then good. Why can't it be good and then great?
That's ridiculous.
Capitalism just repeats that. You know, it's just like you have to struggle because at the other end is a yacht like Kylie.
Yeah, you work hard.
The dream that will never happen, and the dream that keeps us struggling.
And do we even want that? And the dream wasn't planted. We got told your dream. This is your dream.
I remember when I actually read the Bible verses about heaven, and it was like, and you will worship Jesus 24/7, and you will sing hymns to him 24/7. And I was like, this sounds awful. but this is the paradise. The paradise is that I have to worship someone 24/7, a man 24/7.
In Parable of the Sower that I just finished, the Octavia Butler, I think I had showed you that when we were on.
I'm reading those next.
Yeah, I'm starting one of Kindred. It's already pretty good. But it's mostly about change, right? Like, but she says God is change. And like, it's always there. It's always going to happen. You can kind of direct it. It is you. It's blah, blah, blah. I mean, and I don't have much of God in my conversations growing up, but it was kind of like things. I don't know. I don't think I have all the answers. How could we think we had the answers? I don't get it. We're part of this. So I didn't really get that, like, oh, humans are here. And I feel like religion does that. This, like, there's the earth and the animals and the land and stuff. And then there's humans. And like, humans are
God's people.
It's just so many. There's so many things that just don't make any sense. Like this whole, I will never understand the need to suffer to get to greatness. That is so terrible. It's so terrible. And thinking about this story, from the big book, it's all about punishment.
We drowned everybody.
Recognizing the punishment, and then you can be rewarded if you recognize the punishment and then ask for forgiveness.
Yes.
Forgiveness of.
What about like not doing stuff? But like, it's like, well, you're gonna do stuff. Like, what is happening? What are we doing? So can I sin or not? And why do we think this book, okay, I'm not gonna, just like my literal ass brain is like,
it's the literalness of it. It doesn't make any sense. None of it makes any sense. Like the beginning story is you create this garden, this beautiful garden, and you make a man, first of all. That's the first fucking problem. And then you make the woman out of the man, so the woman didn't even want to be there. And then she's the one that ruins your precious garden because she ate an apple. And that's what caused this? An apple?
Yeah. When I read that, so like, I'm reading my Bible, my children's Bible, it had pictures. When I was like,
I had a Precious Moments Bible.
7, 8. And when I read Genesis, the first chapter, I was furious at Eve. I was like, oh, that fucking bitch. Now we have to suffer for the rest of our lives because she did this. But then like the more, the older I got, like I could never make it reconcile, right? It was the constant cognitive dissonance. And then I had to like come out as an atheist to my friends because I was in Mooresville, North Carolina. And I sat down, all like 4 of my friends, and I'm like, and we're literally like having a sleepover. I sit them all down. Like, hey guys, I gotta let you know. I don't believe. I do not believe. And crying, they cried. And one of my friends is just weeping. I don't want you to go to hell. And then I'm explaining, like, I just cannot reconcile this stuff, right? Like, this says this, and like, that doesn't make sense. And then my Catholic friend, she goes, oh, no. It's all a metaphor. It's all an analogy. You're not supposed to take it literally. And I'm like, where does it say it's a metaphor? Where does it say it's an analogy? But she had been trained to read it in such a different way than I had been trained to read it.
Right.
I don't know.
No, because I know there's like certain offshoots that get very, very literal and specific about what hell is. Like you are literally going to burn.
Yeah,
your
we walked
skin.
through a simulation of hell.
I also think it's important to recognize that Lucifer made the decision as an angel to leave. If it's that great being an angel of God that somebody wants to leave and go to eternal damnation,
You might be popping over there.
Yeah.
like honestly, if we're gonna like if you want to have the realization of heaven and hell, and you take the people
bad
today who believe in
neighborhoods,
heaven and hell, the people that believe they're going to heaven are some of the most hideous and heinous souls alive. They are the people
the bad
that wish
place.
death upon me because I like women. Like,
Yeah.
why do I want to party with them in the afterlife? What's up, homie? Remember when you called me a worthless fag? Good to see you.
I thought.
Oh, there's our favorite sinner. Still hate the sin.
But
I thought like
you.
heaven was like. Oh, I thought it was like personal, like what you like is you. Because I was metaphorical about it. I was like, it's gonna be like hubbies and like floating and flying, and I didn't know. I didn't go to Hebrew school for that long. It was just a couple years. And I didn't get to the end. But they don't do heaven and hell anyway. So
My pastor growing up actually said,
Oh, right.
yeah.
my pastor in the church that I grew up in actually said in a sermon, it's Adam and Eve, not Adam and Steve. Like, so again, if you're telling me that I'm an abomination just for existing as I am, but you want me to party with you in the afterlife?
I'm not here for the rhyming. You know I don't like rhymes.
I know you don't like rhyming, but that's what happened.
So like this was news to me, you know, when Prop 8 was passed in California, our pastor had the whole speech about how sad, devastating that this was happening in our country, et cetera, et cetera. And that was news to me, right? Because I had already been masturbating to the idea of kissing a little girl. And by little girl, I was also a little girl.
Yeah, when you said it, I was
Clarify that.
I hated that too. But I also didn't even mean little girl. I meant like doing a little kiss, you know. But whatever. And so then the only thing that changed is now, right after I did that, because I still did it, I would go, dear God, please forgive me for I've sinned. And then just rest my little head on the pillow and fall asleep. Because like,
that's how it works, right?
All I had to do was do a little prayer for forgiveness. But then like, it also obviously messed me up now that I knew that this wasn't supposed to be.
There are so many, like, the
sad.
Yeah. And again, for the people that are so fond of that fictional book, still don't take the shit literally. That's another thing. That's like we still have a literacy problem because the book, if we start taking things literally, again, the people that say the most heinous things are committing every fucking sin that's in that book.
Yeah. But then like also I would take it so literally, and the Bible says God made you the way you are. You can't change anything about your physical appearance. So I was praying for my mom because she dyed her hair. Like I took it so literally, and I'm like, look at all these fucking sinners. Died, augmentation, nose job. Like this is me at 8 thinking these things.
I think it makes sense. And like there are people who just have to lean into that. And like, what do you do when you have this conflict? You just hold the two things, you know, and I think that's where you see people.
It didn't make sense to me that they didn't take it that seriously. Like it never made sense to me. I'm like, we're reading this book, right? You told me to read this book. This book says don't do that, but you do it.
Yeah.
Right. So like your parents are liars. So now what do you trust? Like what happens?
The wildest part is my parents, you know, I just got brought to church every Sunday, but there was no God in my home other than that.
Oh.
And like all of this I did on my own because I'm being told I'm going to get sent to hell. But neither of my parents ever believed in that, really, you know?
Right,
but they didn't realize how hard I believed everything that I heard every Sunday. You know, it wasn't a lot of critical thought into should we bring her to church? It's a good thing to bring the kids to church, you know? But like I internalized so much of that, and like they weren't even paying attention.
Right. Because it's just a part of society. But there's so much more concern about presenting a certain way, right? Like you can do this thing as long as you forgive yourself after. It is not about being the thing. It is just about feeling the thing. I feel like a good person, and if you challenge me on how, if I feel like a good person, that's gonna be the problem. Whether I am or not is a whole different story, right?
It all comes,
It's just
yeah.
not part of it.
Well, and here's what's even wilder, is, you know, we talk about Christianity or Christians just in general and their disdain and distaste they have for people that they say are sinning. But the big part of Christianity is that if you sin, then you can ask for repentance. So it's like, and that's like you're saying, like you can do this thing, but then apologize for it after. But that's why we have like a lot of time last rites is for repentance.
Yeah.
So when I went into my surgery at the ICU, I remember being like, fine, he can do it. Some guy came in, and that was like the most Christian I've ever been.
Terrifying.
Yeah, it was not good. I was not healthy.
No, and your last rites. Do you in this moment of dying, do you accept the Lord Jesus Christ?
You're about to go
I'm
into
dying.
surgery?
Like at this,
that must be bad for the body to be told.
Because I was at Holy Name Hospital, so they have they have whatever, and when they come in, and they're like, "Can he come in and do it?"
Ah!
And I don't remember if my parents were weird. We're just all weird about it, and I guess we just let them do it.
That feels like they're like trying to pull a sheet over your head and be like, "Excuse me, I'm still
like,
here."
Is this making it worse or better?
It's gonna
the
get
only
worse.
God I knew was like in the Pledge of Allegiance. I just remember being like, God. Oh, okay. I thought those were...
Yes, because they told us. They taught us in 5th grade, separation of church and state. And then I'm like, okay, but why do we say God then? You know, like...
Just setting us up to never trust anything, but also trust everything they say.
Yes.
Because nothing makes sense until they present certainty and they act like they have control and to make you feel comfortable with your decisions. Don't worry about it. I got
right there.
It's feeling safe instead of being safe. And it is not. You're not safe.
And that's a good point. Like feeling safe instead of being safe. How often do you hear people that were in abusive situations say that? Like when they get out of it. I felt safe. I was never safe. But somebody told me over and over again, you're safe, you're safe, you're safe, you're safe. Then you get out of it and you're like, no. Turns out I actually wasn't.
Different types of safety. There's physical safety, but there's also mental. Like, who cares if I'm fit? If I want, done.
Yeah, that's kind of it too, right? Like felt normal versus safe. Felt like it's something you felt. It's all you knew.
It's all you knew, and that's why, like, so
certainty. So it's just like the devil you know versus the devil you don't.
Exactly. And so this whole talk about indoctrination of the children, which. Everything that we're describing, like Caroline, the way that you grew up and like going to church. So you grew up and you went to church. I grew up in the church. Like that's the most indoctrination that you can have, to take your child to go listen to these things. And sometimes the pastors would just get like really, really like in depth and really passionate and speak about like some heinous things. And you've got a 6-year-old in the pews saying, amen. Right. And so like I church on Wednesdays for Bible study, Saturday choir practice, Sunday church. Most times I did both services, so the 8 and then the 11 o'clock. And then we would have vacation Bible school. So it was a week out of my summer that I was going to, and then I had to teach. And then we would have like visiting churches. Like I was in church all the time.
But see, at one point, that was a safe thing to do, right? To bring your kids, the only safe place was Sunday at church. Back in, there was like the only safe place for Black people was at church, or in your community when you're surrounded by people.
Safe from white people will say that.
Generational trauma.
Yeah. Safe from white people. That's another thing too. Like you say that right now, and like I chilled on my back because the church is not a safe place to be, but safe from white people.
Right. Yeah. Physical, physical. Yeah.
But but that's what I'm saying. Like that visceral reaction when you said that, it's like that shit's still there. Like I'm continuing to do deconstruction from that, but the way that visceral reaction came, it's wild.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Safety is something
and
that
just
I think needs to be.
How often we're just dropped off there, right? Like my parents, unbeknownst to me, because they didn't share that with me that they weren't really buying into this at all. You know, they never said anything like, but we went to church every single Sunday. We went to youth group every single Sunday. We went to handbell choir every single Sunday. So my whole Sunday was church. And I'm not saying that that's as much as Portia went to, but it's so wild that they just drop me off there when that's not even something that they believed that.
Right, like it was so consistent and something you could count on and is secure, but they also don't care about it. Like, how could those two things be?
Right. Right.
What? Like, there's no reason for you to be like, yeah, but no. But we're here, but also grain of salt. That's not even a thing.
Free childcare.
We weren't even allowed to, we didn't even have, we didn't celebrate Halloween very much.
Yeah,
we went to church for Halloween. Had church service in the basement with the kids because it was a pagan holiday.
My dad just didn't like it because it looked like we were begging or something. I think it was too close to Jehovah's Witness.
I love that so much.
It was too much.
Without meeting your dad, that makes so much sense from what you told me.
Yeah.
What you're not going to do is go up to somebody's house and ask for some candy.
What are you? So they're going to think that we can't afford. Everybody's doing it.
There's some Werthers in the cabinet. Is that not candy enough for you?
It was like, I felt like he was like, they're having so much fun. It can't be good.
How can you have fun begging people for candy?
You go in the door begging and you don't know what they're going to.
Self-respect.
Oh my, whatever. That was a weird one. He just like really didn't like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of things about it. Just doesn't make any sense to me, and it's so tricky now because my mom is still very, very much a Christian and very much in church, and she's got virtual service and going to church and everything. And I think I told you this when my ex died in February, and I called her like in a panic, and she started praying for me, and I was just like, and I was way too much grief to like stop her. But what my point is, it's so interesting having somebody in the family that's so starkly different with their beliefs than mine. And one of the things that like, I don't know, I don't really talk about like my deconstruction with her a ton. Mm-hmm. I just say, I say to her, you know my feelings about the church. She's like,
I think that's like
it's fair enough with my mother. Like relationships with parents are so different, and I do not want the argument to explain to her your religion is shit.
Right. That's not gonna change
her mind.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's like you can talk about your experiences with it that were shitty, and that doesn't negate her experiences. And like those, they can sit together. It's just speaking from your own self versus like but when you're in trauma, that's really hard to do.
Yeah.
So my dad and my older brother grew up Jehovah's Witnesses and very much hate it. But my grandmother stayed in it till she died in 2021. Mm-hmm. So constantly, every meal, it would almost be this kind of... Well, the reason I know Abraham's story is because my older brother, he's 20 years older than me, so like an uncle. But he was like, tell him the story of Abraham or something. And I was like, what is happening? And I was young. I was like 9. And I don't know stuff. And she tells me, and he was going to kill his son because whatever. And my older brother was like, yeah, you hear that? And I was like, what? And I was like, but you wouldn't, I don't know if I asked my brother, you wouldn't kill us if Jehovah told you to, right? And she was like, yeah. I mean, if Jehovah told me to. My brother's 4, 5. And my parents are divorced, right? And my brother comes home from the weekend, I guess, from ransom. Grandma's like, she's gonna kill us. And Jehovah's gonna kill us. And my mom was like, well, you're never getting left alone with that lady.
Thank God. I was like, yeah, this sounds like your mom will not allow you to go back. Like, as she shouldn't.
No, and my dad was like, well, we need her to help with the kids. And she was like, do you think I'm gonna let them think that I would let them? Like, even that alone. Like, you don't tell me this, and then I'm like, well, go ahead. She's not gonna do it today. She is an old lady.
She's not gonna do it today.
What day do we know that Jehovah is gonna say something?
And that's the only story I know. And that was how. So when that's why I'm like, you know what? Talk about your own stuff. You don't need to attack the religion by bringing other people. It'd be like my older brother. And they are scarred, so they only go like so deep. They just have the same arguments all the time, like debates about movies and whatever. And I had to just, because they can't get deeper than that after however many years in this. And then she was still in it.
Right.
And she would go to her meetings in the back room, and apparently they hate Jews. I didn't know that. My brother.
Jehovah's Witness too?
Well, like they blamed Jews for something. And we were all just a family. Just.
You know what, Rebecca? Like, honestly, honestly,
I had no chance.
that you did.
You did no chance.
As it's
For the corporate world.
It is honestly a surprise. Yeah, then you add in the tweed. Like, your level of stability is one to be marveled, honestly.
That's why you see me inside like this all the time. I don't know. No one, everybody's gonna kill you at any moment. Also, we love you. You know? You were a little baby. I remember when you were 3 weeks old.
Come to Nana. Nana won't kill you today, but...
What if Jehovah asked Nana to kill her baby, she'd do it right in a heartbeat.
I mean,
they just made like a new...
We're an honest family, okay? At least
everybody knew. Like, everybody was on the same page.
I was setting her up for an easy win. You wouldn't kill us, would ya?
Ashes, your ashes specifically, and all fall down.
Yours and yours.
Oh, God.
Yeah. So I feel super, conditional love is one of those things. What? Don't trust it. Jehovah.
That's a loaded question.
Honestly, I didn't know for the longest time. I thought that Kirk Franklin song, when he goes, "Can I get a witness?" Right? I thought it was Jehovah's Witnesses. The only witness I knew were Jehovah's Witnesses. And I was like, this is about Jehovah's Witnesses? Weird.
Different.
Weird.
Like, yeah. Do you think about this? So, like, when I told you guys my coming out story, right?
It was yours, but it wasn't yours.
I'm gonna go pee, but I'm gonna mute myself and turn you around when I'm doing the tinkle. But I want to listen.
Do you not know this? Okay. After my brother outed us,
69. Sorry, on her little thing.
Nice. After we were outed, my parents had to pray to forgive themselves for what happened to their kids.
See, what are we doing? What in the entire fuck?
Is that not wild?
Like, we're living this voluntarily.
We're in this simulation. We're here.
Just stressing the fuck out.
For what? For what? For what? Like, Christians are so stressed because they have to follow this playbook that is fiction.
And it's at other people.
And it's at other people. You are sinning, and I have to tell you how bad you are.
Yeah,
they had to pray for forgiveness for themselves because you were gay.
Yeah, where they went wrong. I mean, they batting 1,000 with the 2 kids.
I mean, and it's almost like when, if someone's like, "Hey, Mom, I think I'm autistic," and then they're like, "So you think I didn't? What I wouldn't have noticed?" And like,
where did I go wrong? Yeah.
Okay, that very much mirrors so when I came out as bi to my mom, and I was telling her about, hey, these experiences in the church messed me up, and then she was immediately like, I guess I'm a terrible mother. I guess I never should have brought you to church, etc., etc., etc. She's like, this isn't about you. I just
could have just sat with that conflict for another minute. Just sit with the conflict.
Mm-hmm. It's so defensive. Mm-hmm. That's what's hard about, for me at least, talking. I've recognized that I'm never going to get a apology. I don't know if I want whatever, but
right, the acknowledgement or
so
recognition.
Defensive.
Yeah,
but I get that we're all human beings. I would never want to be a parent. I would never want to be a parent. Like, that sounds horrible and awful. And I'm sure that I'm trauma to you. But you guys are trauma to me too. Not you guys, my parents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think about like being a parent, and when I was younger, I thought I wanted kids, and I've raised kids with exes before, and I would not want to do it like full time. I just not. I can't. Like
Not with
no.
these situations and like with the brain I have right now, because like it's doing so much.
There's
And
so
I'm gonna
much.
bring him into this. Have you seen?
Like outside, absolutely not. Like and this is
Outside?
no affront to anybody that's having kids right now, but
Yeah.
also, have you seen outside?
Right. And if I'm not dying for it, I don't think I should do it.
No, but they're also, you know, they're like, well, we did it. Well, we didn't really have time either, and we did it. But, you know,
That statement right there, that doesn't make any
Would you do
sense.
it
We
again?
didn't have time, but we did it. How about if you didn't do it and you kept some time for yourself?
And also, you did a job that I wouldn't say is A plus, considering, you know, I'm in therapy, you know, but they didn't have the tools. It's not their fault. It's not about blame. I feel like that's another thing religion does is blame. It's like, this is the source of problem, instead of realizing like problems exist and like, so now what do? You don't have to figure out who did it and go punish them. You don't.
Right.
You really don't. It doesn't help.
Yeah.
Take it for what it is and now move forward. I realize that's all people want is who did it? Who did it? Well, who's
Somebody to
fault? How did
blame.
it happen? What did? How can we? I need the context. If it, you don't. You don't.
Well, you saying that makes me think about how you talk about like systems versus people. Like it's tied to that. Who can I blame? Who can I blame?
Right.
Or how do we get to this place where something is not great?
Right.
That
Because
root cause that throws people off. They just have to know right now, whose fault is this?
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, you know, shoplifting and stuff like that. Like, you blame the person who shoplifted, but like so much of shoplifting would be non-existent if we had just like support for people who didn't have enough money to eat. Like, it's so ridiculous, and it's just like, it's exhausting.
It's my air conditioner, Olivia. That's what you're hearing.
it is exhausting, and it doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be.
Just because it has been doesn't mean it has to be. All that we've seen is not all that there is. And but America works backwards. America looks in the rearview mirror for directions. Make that make sense. That's not how you do it. You don't go to the old books to figure out what to do next. Always.
Right. Especially when you're looking in the rearview mirror and it's nothing but wreckage.
Right.
Like, there's nothing back there. There's really nothing back there that is so good that we should do it today.
Right.
And the fact that everything that is back there is repeating itself, it's because we're working through wreckage. When you just keep,
At some point,
at some point, you got to say, hey, my trunk fell off. Maybe I should leave that back there and put a new trunk on. Maybe I should just get a whole new fucking car.
Yeah,
Maybe
that's the
I
thing.
should find a different highway or interstate to take. All of these things that do not have to
stop
be
and
the
evaluate.
same.
If your trunk keeps falling off all the time,
There's something wrong with the trunk. And the
there's
car.
something wrong with the whole car.
The whole car.
You need to
Putting
stop.
the trunk back on.
Right.
You
You don't
need
just
the fact that we can tie so many things from the past to today is a problem.
Right.
That is a problem. The fact that we can
Supreme
talk
Court
about
shit.
it doesn't make any sense. We can talk about let's use enslavement because let's piss off some people here. But obviously we had what happened, the big bad kidnapping people, but then we talk about here, the prison system, any type of slavery. It's repeating the same thing. And that's
And just changing the name and saying now it's different, or like, well, this is what they've done and this is what the law is according to this trial back in the 19 whatever. So we have to make this decision today because back then a judge said this. What are you talking about?
Yeah. And like, first of all, those guys, our founding fathers were obviously awful.
founding
but
fathers.
They were drunk.
Right.
They were
but also
drunk.
like they said this document should change every 20 years. The horrible
That's such a
guys
man
that
thing
you
to
want to
do.
worship don't even agree with you.
But here's the thing. That's such a man thing to do, and be like, hey, these are the rules. Later on, y'all should fix it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And without assigning anybody, no one's in charge of it. You just put out some ideas, say these are the fucking rules forever, but also you should think about changing it if you want. Oh, okay. How about fill out the piece of paper? I want to know, when they do amendments, does it change on the Constitution? I don't think so, because it's in a little glass box. They don't go in and go, oh, so what are we doing?
Well, so this says the Constitution is based on civil rights but not human rights. Yes, I'm not going to say that you're wrong, but also,
I don't know what civil rights
which
are.
definition of civil are we using?
Yeah. It's not a thing. It's made up.
It's made up. You're 100% right. It's based on civil rights, but civil for who?
Yeah. For who's
For white people.
civilized?
It's just like
According
when
to
we
those
say,
people.
like the Pledge of Allegiance, liberty and justice for all. Who the fuck is all?
Yeah.
Because where's that liberty? Where's that justice? I've been looking for it for my existence.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we're civilized. We're white and murder people to get what we want.
That's exactly it. That's why people that are not white are almost immediately are considered uncivilized. Like
They're going to civilize. They're developing it to be into a civilized nation. And what is their example? Like, and how do you do that? Eradicate these people and make it us. Like, it's just not. You have to think about the mindset and humanize these people of the past.
the fact that a constitution was written while black people were in, that doesn't make.
Yeah.
Which means that you can't have, like, from the very beginning, you can't have all the voices that are necessary in the room. No women, no black people, no people of, just white men wearing their wigs, drunk.
Landowners. Like, it goes so far, you know? It's like,
would you want that to happen today?
no.
Would
7,
you want
12
anybody in this
white
live
guys.
right now, and I can't wait to see who to block, would you want 4 drunk white men wearing wigs, holding a quill, making all the rules for all the country?
And then they come with a floppy disk and they're like, but y'all should have fixed it, updated it and stuff and agree on it too. Like we did so good. So
But
you
also,
could do it.
you know, white people like to distance ourselves so much from like, oh, well, go with product of the times, never would have. Literally, they'll say that about stuff, and they'll be like, I would never. When your grandma literally did. Your grandma was alive during segregation, and your grandma stood with a sign that said, protect our schools, or whatever their sign said. Like, you act like it could never be you. It already is.
You're doing it right now. Like, people are yelling at me.
I can almost promise you, the people that had the grandparents who are saying protect our schools are the same ones that are saying protect our schools now against
Protect our
people.
schools.
Guarantee you. It's, again, the same thing.
Side by side. Our kids, protect the kids. And like, from what?
Because I would like to protect the kids from
You're fucking
domestic
ruining
violence.
kids.
from
Like,
that one.
ruining children.
The one that we
you
keep
could-
struggling with.
The one that has not, the crimes that are not based in poverty, we'd like to stop those. You know, the violence for no reason except that you can. Those we'd like to stop. But those aren't crimes. The criminals aren't the ones who do that.
The mentally ill do that.
Lonely, you know, guys who had just had a bad day. And if his wife would just clean the things the way she's supposed to.
Right.
Yeah.
All of it, like,
She just made me mad. I told her what I wanted for dinner, and she didn't listen. It's not
always like
like
this.
she just doesn't listen. It's all the same fucking shit.
I just gotta, okay, all right. So one thing about the finale, because it's the worst thing Tom Sandoval says.
Look at Sideways. My grandmother.
Because segregation is the whole product of their time, thing, and space. Right. So, like, the product of the time makes no sense because, like, black people were not like, yeah, we should be enslaved. That time was still that time. Oh, but Tom Sandoval, I don't know why I was gonna say this, but because he's terrible. I don't remember why I was gonna say it. But anyway, he's like, we never had sex and that's why I cheated on her, blah, 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 blah. Right? And then when she was like, well, we did this time while you were still cheating on me with this person, he was like, yeah, and you kept your t-shirt on, so hot. At the reunion in front of everybody. And even Schwartz was like, no, man, don't say that. It was really the t-shirt thing, yes. Like the
Straight
the saying
up.
it out loud.
Like, he
Yeah.
could have just broken up with her.
And
If
she
that's
says it
not the
over and over
relationship.
again. And but why I believe it's such a big deal is because we're watching a narcissist do it on camera.
Yeah.
With all the footage from before to be like, look what did you do? Look, you said that 3 years ago.
Yeah.
You said that 3 years ago. It's the same thing. And it does not matter if it makes sense, if it's true. He does not care. And it's wild to watch.
Yeah.
You said that out loud. You kept your t-shirt on. It was so hot. You are so stupid. Sorry.
So
Anyway,
stupid.
It's just that.
Yeah.
That's how gross. And like we're at this point, people will do the exact wrong thing
Over and over and over again.
stick to it and double, triple down. Even when you're like, this doesn't make. Why would you? This is not a smart decision. But they never do it in public. You always see it in these confines of relationships. And I think in like domestic violence situations and like dealing with a narcissist, so much is emotional. And now we get to kind of like get some validation, or like when we weren't able to show someone, look, because first he said this and it was this date and it was this. Oh, you have all these people getting to do it. And she's the perfect victim. There's never a perfect victim, but she did literally nothing wrong, and he did everything wrong, and he's still.
But he doesn't see it that way. Like, obviously he sees her doing that in a t-shirt as her doing something wrong. And it's like, it's so frustrating.
It
that-
is. Mm-hmm. And I think that we have to be aware that so many people are out there like that, and like they will drain everything from you and you won't even know. Like, it is systematic and it is happening everywhere, but by the end of it you start to be like, oh, I feel stupid now, because if I tell anybody this is happening, like, they're not gonna believe me. They're like, why are you in this? Why?
Right.
Yeah.
There's so much of you keeping yourself.
Well, like you said, with like narcissists, with the isolation, they keep you so isolated. So when you're isolated, you don't have people around you saying something's a little off, like you seem different, like, are you okay? And that's so strategic, making sure that you're not around people that care about you, that notice that things are different. And then
some people can't afford to leave. I hear you, but the response usually to that when I listen to these podcasts and listen to professionals is, but can you afford to stay? You know, I hear you, but are you safe, or do you feel safer? And I know that it's the most dangerous when you leave. That's the most dangerous time, is leaving someone who's a narcissist and abusive. But it's just to just be like, I can't afford to leave. Usually that comes from a different kind of place. It's not. It's scary. It's scary. The rest of your life
of I can't afford to leave usually comes from your abuser. Like, it's usually your abuser saying, what are you going to do when you leave? Who's going to take care of you? How are you going to pay your bills? How are you going to eat? Everything. They're doing everything in their power to diminish everything. They're withholding money from you too. Like, abuse runs deep. And so that mindset, and so like you said, Rebecca, are you safer? Is it safer to leave or safer to stay? And this is not something that you can make like an overarching statement about and very generic, because you can't just say, I'm going to take everything and leave, because sometimes there's kids, there's a lot of things. But you also have to remember, you're not necessarily safer with that person. You're safer in a place that you have a bed and some place to sleep.
And it might be short term, and you have to, is your kid safer still in that environment in another 4 or 5 years? Is it going, it's not going to get better. And at that point, when that person no longer wants to have you, they have a new supply. I've seen quite a few documentaries where they don't do the conflict resolution route. They are like, I'm done. And then they're like, I can get away with this. I'm really smart. And they're not.
Yep.
I feel like we do a disservice to people in these situations because we make them feel stupid, Yeah. When they get out of the situation,
why didn't you
if they're trying to get out of the situation, they're not out yet. there's so much like shame talk around it, and so much like serious, like even if you went to your friend and you're like, hey, I'm in this really bad situation, it's so likely that that your friend would be like, how'd you let it get this bad?
Oh God.
Crazy to me. That is insane. That is, whenever I hear like society, I hear white people, because that, I never for a second thought that someone wouldn't believe me if I were to tell someone. Like, that was not my issue. I had other stuff, but my mom was teaching me from very young. You tell me if anybody touches you, say no, you're not allowed, you know, everything. But when I hear these stories, especially in like more rural neighborhoods or like these towns that everyone's really nice and there is no crime, everything, they didn't believe. They just said, that's my fault or whatever, these other things. And I can't imagine that. Like, where do you think the kids come up with, like, I just don't. It's really sad. And that's why I say I feel like white supremacy eats white people from the inside out.
It absolutely does. It absolutely does. I mean, if for no other reason than they don't believe that they're affected by it, that's the biggest thing. When you are unaware or you refuse to believe that you are affected by a poison that is present everywhere, it's going to eat you up because you're not doing anything to remove that poison from you.
And you're just ignoring it. So like, you can ignore it if you want to, but it's there. And Black people
it's there and it's going to spread. And the thing about white supremacy is it's so insidious that the more you ignore it or the more that you deny it, the faster it spreads.
Yeah.
And it has to find a way to get out. The way that it gets out is by exhibiting it to other people. The way that you behave, the way that you talk, the way that you treat people. It's got to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The silence is what keeps it strong. And
the patriarchy is white supremacy. Like, anything.
That's the same thing.
White supremacy is an umbrella.
You know, we're women, right?
Yeah.
It is not and the patriarchy or and capitalism. White supremacy is the original. It decides what white is good and what is bad.
Is the umbrella over all of that. You know how like you I don't know. Not all
not all scotches.
Right. Not all not all vegans are vegetarian. No, not all vegetarians are vegan, but all vegans are vegetarian. Not all patriarchy, not all white supremacy is patriarchy, but all patriarchy is white supremacy.
I just did like a small video about this yesterday because somebody was like, somebody said we have a human rights issue in this country. And I was like, we have a racism issue in this country because it's about something happening against whatever. And they're like, yes, but aren't Black people humans or something along those lines? I'm like, here's the deal.
Not to everybody.
And he's like, I would go a step further and say it's white supremacy. I'm like, yes, but no, because everybody is affected by white supremacy.
Yeah.
But not everybody is affected by racism. So everybody's affected by white supremacy. Not everybody's affected by homophobia. Everybody's affected by white supremacy. Not everybody's affected by transphobia. Everybody's affected by white supremacy. Not everybody's affected by the patriarchy. But under that umbrella stands everybody. Nobody wins
the value
upholding white supremacy.
In this scenario we were talking about, white people are so individualistic that we're so committed to the idea of could never be me. Yep. And I feel like that plays out so much in our response to victims of different things, because we don't believe that the system could lead us to this happening to us, because no, it's just you bootstrapped, smart, blah, blah, blah. But no, it's a constant distancing from.
And because of that
this wouldn't happen to me. I'm smarter than this. Why would those people believe this thing? It's always, how can I make sure that wouldn't happen to me? And instead of learning something new, you're like, well, that wouldn't happen to me because, which implies something about that person.
Right. And because of that distancing is why all of these individual systems remain at play.
Well, that's why so many people are like, we thought this happens on the news. It doesn't happen to us. You're an idiot. Like, what are you talking about?
When people
Everything
say
I see on the news, I'm like, it's going to happen to me.
The news is not, the news is not like a scripted show. It's also like when people are so surprised that things, like vicious things happening. Why are you surprised? Why is anybody surprised at the things that people do?
Every time I hear now the propaganda is too strong, but they're like, this is an evil person. This is a monster. He is not a human. Who could do this? I'm like, you're the problem.
Yeah.
You are the problem. Every time you're like, this isn't a human, It's literally a human. You're the reason that no one is believed because we're looking for an ogre and it's you. You're the guy. He looks just like you. And so you're like, can't be. And that's why it's just, us black
That's
women
exactly
are
it. He looks just like me. So all of those abusive situations in the fancy neighborhoods or the upper class neighborhoods, the abuse, the murders, all of that stuff. You don't believe it because, oh my God, I just saw him out mowing his lawn the other day.
He's a great guy. I don't want to ruin his life.
Wildest
I don't want to, like,
explanation.
he's a good kid.
But they always do that. They're always like, oh, I know this person under this circumstance, and so it's impossible that they were ever any different from the one sphere that I saw them in.
Right. I didn't have that experience, so hers isn't true.
That doesn't make sense.
That's not how math works.
I'm going to talk and draft through something here because I'm making connections. So, white people will separate themselves or they'll see themselves in something, so they will deny its existence. And if we use the Black community, we know that if something goes wrong, we corral our own, right? Like, what were you doing? Grabbing them up, anything like that. And so when you have this mindset of white people, especially white people that are heavily entrenched in white supremacy, they think so poorly of the Black community because they don't see us as dismissing things that happen. They don't see us as denying, or that, no, they do see us as dismissing and denying. They don't see it as us being a community, making sure that our people are okay, they're not repeating the same things.
When
right?
they're like, you're not talking about...
Like, you're not talking about black on black. Yes,
Yeah.
we are, just not where you can hear it because you guys are fucking crazy, right? So there's that mindset. But then you have white people that are so separationist and so individualist. They're like, I can't believe this happened. This would never happen because you don't talk to your people. You make assumptions about who they are. You have these expectations that they're going to behave the exact same way that you do. And a lot of times they don't want to look at it because they don't want to see parts of themselves in this other person.
Mm-hmm. Right.
There's just no community. And without community, there's no hope for any type of accountability or
There's no accountability without community.
None.
Right. You can't hold the whole accountable thing. You can't just like hold a stranger accountable.
You can't you do it for yourself. Like you can't.
You can hold yourself accountable,
and you can encourage somebody else to.
You can hold someone you are in a direct relationship with somewhat accountable. You can't make them be accountable. That's not how that works. Yelling at someone isn't holding them accountable.
Not gonna work. And I think that's a good. Like I think that a lot of like the Swiftie fans, and I hate to say that too loud, I think that's why they're getting mad at people talking about her not saying anything about him. Because we're like, we can't. She can't be held accountable for his behavior, and they're missing the fact that we're like, we don't want her accountable for what he said and did. It's the fact that she didn't say anything about it. So that whole piece, they're missing personal responsibility. Like, how are you responsible? Yeah.
They want to we want to distance ourselves from.
They're mean to us too.
Yeah.
But we're also victims.
And I also have been teased.
In terms of the corralling, it's all in these tiny families. So it's all within the nuclear family. Like if somebody's uncle is pervy, that's hush hush, kept under the blah, 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 blah. But like it's the way this could never happen to me because it all happens to all of us simultaneously and we all handle it simultaneously, silently. So we never let the broader community beyond that family, beyond whoever had to know that anything's like no one would ever. Yeah.
You have to seem great. Not about being great. It's not about that.
Appearing great. You have to appear.
You need to seem like a healthy family. We're not, and that's not what's important. How?
Yeah.
How is that the thing that matters the most? And we're all just like, yeah. We all just go outside and put a happy face on. We're literally in a play. And you can tell because when we don't follow the script, when we're not doing the thing that like, when we follow our own, just like what we want to do, people, they're like, that's not the line.
Yeah.
That's not, like literally they glitch. If I just say, hey, can I ask you a question? No. They are not prepared for that answer at all. And that should be concerning.
Yeah.
Like you follow a script every day.
Yeah.
We wear outfits you would never wear. Like once I realized that I told you guys about the merch everywhere, right? When you work for a company and it's like their name is everywhere in your apartment, their stuff is everywhere. You're always thinking about going there. Like that stuff impacts you. I don't remember what my point was about it though.
It'll come back to you.
Yeah, I don't remember what I was talking about.
You think you're choosing what to wear, but you're not. You know,
Oh yeah, you're wearing clothes you would never wear. You literally buy clothes just to go to this building. That you do a different. You have a different title.
Costume on. It's a costume.
It's literally a costume. I used to call it. I'm gonna put my costume on because it's a costume. You don't wear it unless you're doing this part in which you play this role. You literally have a role. And you have cues, social cues. I want to say the right things. How are there right things to say?
The image is so much more important than the person.
Down, you don't put colors. You gotta fit you in with the role. And like, if you are distinct in any way, that's a risk you're taking. That's risky. That's really taking this role and making it your own. I wouldn't do it if I were you.
Yeah.
I wish I got that advice. I didn't get that. I was like, I'm taking this role and making it mine. But I still wore the costume.
Like doing anything different. Like, if we keep it universal, having your hair dyed in unnatural color. First of all, if the color is on the color wheel, it's a natural color. I know what they mean by like naturally growing out of your head that way. But why is that a problem? If you're working in an office or anywhere,
you're not allowed to be an individual.
How dare
Individualism means you look out for you, and it's safety of like survival. That's what individualism is, survival. And individuality is you.
There it is. It was like, it wasn't connecting for a minute. So it's individualism, but not individuality.
Right.
That's individualism. That is literally like a bunch of little robots.
Yeah. Individualism is the fundamental flaw of the flies that I would say. Like Lord of the Flies isn't real. Like that's not a thing that will happen, that we're all taught. If we are not governed, that's what they use this book for. If we are not governed, we will kill each other.
Yeah.
That's not true. the Tongan, the boys that were...
That's of course always...
They had to heal a broken leg. They formed a basketball court. They made their own little community. They had a gym. So that didn't happen. But if you start your all safety with people are out to get you and you need to look out for you first, then there is no individuality. It's just survival all the time. All the time. Survive, outbeat the other person. Versus individuality is I'm born and I have all my experiences and my personal stuff that I bring to wherever I go. Mm-hmm. And then that individual can be in community with other people, and there's growth and there's individuality. But individualism is just like that value system of you over everybody.
Right.
Oh my God.
Sorry, that's my safety spiel.
No, I'm just like having this moment, right, of like reputation.
Oh God.
Is held up as more important. Your reputation is the most important thing about you. It's more important than your safety. It's more important than your personhood. And your safety and your personhood are not as important as somebody else's reputation. Everybody's reputation is the only thing that matters. Because you guys know what happened to me in driver's ed, and it was all about somebody else's reputation not being ruined.
Yep. God forbid a reputation. Because when I wanted to leave my gaslighting manager and just go right under another manager in our section where we worked well, it made sense. Well, you don't want to look like you're running from him.
Why not?
I actually really do want to look like that.
Why would I want to look like that when that's what I'm doing? That's what I'm doing, so why can't it look like that?
Why? What are you talking? And to me, I had multiple people tell me that, and it still throws me because I'm like, but I'm running from him. You just heard that I am literally sobbing here, and you're like, well, I want to help you with the framework to build the bridge back because you whatever, and you need him for what? And I'm like, oh shit.
That pisses me off. Every time you tell me the story, that pisses me off. They want to work on the framework for the bridge to get you back to the person that's abusing you instead of addressing the person that's fucking abusing you.
Yes.
What the fuck?
I'm telling them I feel discriminated, I feel demeaned, I feel disrespected, and I'm trying so hard. I got HR, I got this, I got that, and they're just, okay. Once you realize like there is I don't matter here.
Yeah.
The reputation. So even when you realize like these guys who are doing terrible things to children, do it forever and ever and ever, right? Then they get caught and then they're done.
Right.
Because they got caught and now everybody knows.
But they're not allowed to know. They get caught again and again and again.
Because it's not about doing the thing.
Like in my circumstance, he got caught. He did it to me. And so I was like, hey, that happened. And instead of getting to say, I'm not going to do another day with him because he did this, we made up a lie. My family made up a story about Caroline's busy actually tomorrow. It turns out she's busy. So that's what we got to, because God forbid. And the way they phrased it, the way they framed it as if I was protecting my reputation because it would be so awful if people found out that something happened to me.
Yeah, because then you would appear tainted or tarnished or
the gaslighting,
right? And it's like we were talking about the ongoing abuse, and then when they're caught, that's when the story happens.
That's the problem.
And that's the problem. Not the fact that these children or people have gone through anything, because they're still not taken care of. Because kids when it happens, and speaking from my own personal, like if it happens, nobody believes you.
Yeah.
And then when it finally gets to the point that somebody gets caught, nobody comes to check on you.
No.
Like I told you this happened to me. Now you know for a fact it happened to other people.
Like,
how about you touch base again?
That's what I don't get. So do they just think this must be the only time? Your brain doesn't extrapolate from there and go, this is what they do every day for a living? What?
I don't think they think it's the only time, because it keeps happening, right? And but it's like, it's almost a sunk cost fallacy. Well, we've covered up for him for 18 times. What's a 19th?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you're waiting for someone else to do it. Right? I don't want to be the one to ruin his reputation. I think it probably should happen, but I don't want to.
Yeah. I don't want to. Maybe I'm wrong.
See, my mom would have been the one. But
your mom's an anomaly.
At that time. Right. But at that time, also, she wanted the cool one. It's one thing to say now, and like my mom would have been about that life, but I may have been scared to tell her because I know she would have been about that life. And then would it be my fault that guy lost his job? So there's really, I love I don't know.
It's a vicious cycle. So your mom would have taken care of you. She would have protected you like she should have. But society has taught you is that reputation is more important.
Negative. Yeah. And she would have been that mom who had to go in and she's always making a fuss with her black kids.
The fuss.
She's always making a fuss because she thinks that because my mom.
But who's making us make a fuss?
Right.
We wouldn't have to make a fuss.
Yes. It always comes back to the root cause of the issue. That question before the question. Why did we get here? But it's so reactionary. Oh my God. Caroline's mom's here making a fuss again. Right. Because Caroline's going through some shit at the hands of this terrible person. Maybe we focus on that terrible person and not the mother making sure her kid's okay.
I watched the docuseries Don't Tell with the teachers.
Keep This Between Us.
Keep This Between Us. I watched it a couple times. And the fucking burn. Because the amount of times,
I think I did see that.
The amount of times it's like, hey, this is happening. And people are like, well. But the grooming, the fact that men were the decision makers in every position is the problem. There was male teachers, male principals, male superintendents.
The way they tell you doesn't feel like it. This is how they'll say it. We could bring this higher up.
Yeah.
If we do bring this higher up, I do want to let you know that your life is going to be miserable for 3 to 7 years.
Yes.
And we're going to make sure that you have to do incredibly unpleasant things every month or so for that time. Like it doesn't feel like a choice.
Yeah. They make it seem like this major inconvenience. Yes. This thing that's going to.
But they will make it a major inconvenience.
And they will make it one. They seem like you're going to be so stressed, which, hi, I'm already stressed because of what happened.
But they make it sound like, this room's painted gray. I know that you wanted white, but do you really want us to repaint the whole? But that's not what the situation is, right? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, because I bet to them, here's the other thing. I bet this happened to them all the time. You know, and similar, it's like, well, no one
And
did
it does. It makes
for
you
me.
feel like you're overreacting because they make you feel that way.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Because they were made to probably feel that way. Because it's not like this just started either.
Right.
And
It's another rearview mirror thing.
yeah.
It's another one. It's another
Make
one.
a different choice. Be the fuss maker.
It's a high probability and it's highly likely that if you outcry to somebody, that the person that you outcry to has been through a situation. Because especially if it's a woman or a femme identifying person, 9 times out of 10, it's somebody. And so if they place their feelings on, no, not the, if they place their feelings on what happened in their situation on you, that's how it continues. That's how it perpetuates. Like, I remember when I went through this, and it was just such a headache to kind of handle it. And honestly, it was just easier for me to, just kind of work through it on my own. And it didn't have to be this big thing. Healing.
If they admit, but like if they, if they've covered something up or if then they have to look back on all their past choices, right? And to protect the brain, to protect yourself from realizing. I watched this fascinating documentary. I think it's called like The Act of Killing or something. And there was a genocide that this man participated in. And at the beginning of the documentary where they're interviewing him, he's just like very casually explaining how he killed all of these people because, he believed I was a. And then through the documentary process, he started deconstructing and realizing that these were just other people because, it had worked so thoroughly to demonize this other group. I don't know if they were communists or capitalists or whichever, but he had demonized them so thoroughly. And then they go back and they walk the same places where he had gleefully told them about how he killed people here, there, and there. And he's vomiting, he's throwing up, he's just throwing up so hard because he's realizing, and people will do a lot to protect themselves from those types of realizations.
Mm-hmm. And you think about how much you have to do mentally to think about the things that happened in this country, right? Daily. The screams you had to hear, the blood-curdling mothers screaming mother screams. And you had to tell yourself, those aren't mother screams. Those are animal sounds. That's not real pain. That is, they're crying for attention.
Wow.
Right? They just want attention. They just want. You have to do major muscle flexing in the cognitive dissonance area to make that happen over and over and over again.
Major. It has to be.
Babies would not make it because white women would be just so furious at these little mixed babies running around. And there was a law. So I know Liver Baseman just talked about the law that made it legal in Virginia. Like if your property dies when you're if they're resisting punishment, then that's okay. But I do know there was a law at some point somewhere where white women had to stop killing the babies because they were men's properties and they kept killing them and beating them to death. And the men were like, stop it, ladies. So they made a law. And also a law that Black women were unrapeable because, they're not women. They would if there was a crash on a train, it would be 5 men, 6 women, and 17 Negroes. So when we talk about misogynoir and when we say it's dehumanizing literally, it's women, men, and Negroes. That you didn't get women and men. That's why we don't like female, because that's like insect. There's a lot that goes into making sure we lived through all of this and didn't feel bad about ourselves.
Yeah.
But you feel bad when I say white woman whisperer?
That's what sets you off. That's what sets people off. This entire history of this country.
You've seen what's on the news, right?
And a username sets people off to the point where they want you to unalive yourself.
Because it's so fragile. Because the bubble around it is so fragile.
Yep.
That
centuries old.
A Jenga tower, truly.
Yeah. And I feel like that's kind of why I wanted this space, and like I like the TikTok kind of middle ground anti-racism space where it's like, okay, okay. It doesn't have to be as traumatic as maybe it could be. I don't know. Because I don't know what that's like. I grew up being fully aware that I'm a human, and that in history, people have done some crazy things on both sides of my history. So I only exist because people went against those things.
Yep.
So to then come out here and realize that it's still so prevalent, it's just so like maybe that's what I'm here for. So be like, it doesn't have to come this way and go listen to these people. No, this way, guys. I'm like the guy, gentle like herder, and you go listen to this person and this person. But it doesn't have to be terrible. It's not gonna be great. I would get a snack or two, get some water. But I couldn't just like let people like, because it was just going crazy. White women are just like, I want to die, but what can I every time I try to, and I get it a little, but like you being offended, slavery.
You're right.
I'm never gonna give
like they're not balanced. It seems like they're not balanced.
And if you think cancel culture is real, look at my page. People are offended at me all the time.
Yeah.
I'm so confused by this comment. Thank you for centering yourselves in your experience.
Well, it is. I mean, you're welcome. And all of us, wait, it's selves in your experience. As opposed to.
Never mind. Sorry. As who you are.
Okay, it's fine.
Yeah, okay.
You know, I had a thought.
I can't remember what I'd be talking about. We mentioned a couple documentaries. You know what's a good documentary? The Vow. The Vow, but both
is that on Hulu?
Seasons.
Or Peacock?
It's on HBO Max.
Oh wait, no, I saw that with it's got the white lady on the
and
like the diet.
You should watch both seasons. It took a really long time for the second season to come out. Because
when did the second season come out?
Earlier this year, I don't know. Today?
I know, I asked the question beyond.
Yeah, I would have told you.
Keith
Raniere, yeah. So there's a lot about NXIVM. But The Vow, I think, was so... I've never seen a documentary get this perspective. So, like, the first season is about Keith Raniere and his organization. And Nancy Salzman is, like, his skinny white lady. There's always a cult leader, usually a skinny white lady, to whitewash his crimes and make him not look so bad. I found that on TikTok. But in season 2, they get Nancy Salzman. And in the beginning, you can kind of see her starting to realize what happened, because she got her daughter in it. She had her other daughter in it for a little bit. And he's trying to have sex with her daughter. She's starting to come out of it. But you hate her after season 1, obviously.
Right.
And then I still hated her. And then I was like...
Oh, I did see both parts. Yes, I did. Okay.
And then you start to just... She's a human too, as much as I want to hate her.
He's a human being too.
Yeah.
He's not.
But see, here's the thing is that going back to like the individualism versus individuality, when people don't leave room for people to come out of where they're at. And I think that's why, Rebecca, what you and I do is we leave space for people to come out of where they are. Like we leave space for people to recognize I have been entrenched in white supremacy, if for no other reason than it benefits me, just who I am. But creating that space for people to grow out, like to move from that, it doesn't align with white supremacy. And so people just expect, they don't want to get it wrong because they're used to, if they get it wrong, you're punished or you're terrible or you're never going to get it right or you're a fuck up. Oh, do you see what white supremacy is doing to y'all? Do you see?
And there is no right answer, so you'll never speak. Like I remember the stop sign analogy. Like you have to go when it's your turn to go. If you don't, you're actually causing a less safe environment because people have to guess these things and you may feel safer, but you're not safer.
Right.
You're causing problems for other people. So you just speak, go, and we can work with you. I mean, keep your eyes open, stay woke. But don't like.
Well, you can think about the stop sign too. If you want to make it like a family thing, and we talk about generational shit, if you stay stuck at that stop sign, that means anybody behind you isn't going any further either because you've stopped progress. think about it as white people, when you stop, it stops progress from people behind you. You have to keep going.
You have to acknowledge other people affect your safety too, and
Yeah.
you affect other people's safety. So freedom doesn't mean getting to do whatever you want, end of sentence. Freedom means doing whatever you want until it infringes upon another person doing whatever they want.
Can I give you an idea that you might be able to flesh out?
No.
See how I said can I and I didn't say I was going to do it? I honored the PDA there. Stop sign, intersectionality. There's something that clicks there.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
That's
what we were talking about. Yeah, with the board, I have, yeah.
Okay.
Because the stop signs always.
I remember that you showed the stop sign and then you showed the neighborhoods.
Yeah, there's always like levels, right? Like when you
Yes.
zoom in. So there's intersectionality, and if you're white and you're talking about intersectionality, you got a little asterisk next to your intersectionality. It's behind a gated community.
Yeah.
But no matter what at an intersection, you need to be aware of other people, and you can harm other people. But under whiteness, it's like there's all these politics because you're in the neighborhood, right? Like it's your people, and you see Judy every day, and she never stops at the stop sign. She'd be rolling through it, so we got to watch out, and all that stuff.
And I'm thinking like with the intersectionality is all of what you said, but having to check each lane before you go through, like, so if you got a 4-way stop, you've got to check all around you, which means that you have to check with all the other identities to make sure that, yeah.
You have to consider it all. You can't just like do one at a time. Like,
right.
Before you go. You can't be like, all right, good, I'll go halfway. All right, good, I'll go halfway.
Yes.
Intersectionality isn't an additive. It's like the more intersections, the more dangerous. It's a multiplicative.
Yes.
Yeah.
I knew
because people think it's like 1 + 1 + 1. I'm black and a woman and Jewish. And it's like, no.
How dare you? You
like
are
Jewish.
only black. And then sometimes
I need to consider all of that when I'm like, why was that person mean to me? Was it because I'm black? Was it because I'm a woman? Was it because I'm Jewish? I don't got time for that.
it could be any number of things. What a grab bag of fun.
Yeah. So because people just, I like the stop sign there too, because like I remember just being and driving and people just doing that. I'm like, it is not safer to do this. I need you to drive. And if you're in a car with someone and all they're like, they're always scared when they're driving. And then they get in car crashes and then it validates why they're so scared. And then they're even worse. And then they get in more and they're like, see, it's like the persecution thing.
You've got your blinker on, right? You're telling everybody, I'm gonna move, I'm gonna move, I'm gonna move, but you're too scared to move. And now you've got all of these.
And you're like, you go. And they're like, go.
Oh my God. The blinker is the I'm listening and learning.
Oh,
yeah.
yes.
Blinker is I'm trying to learn.
Can I ask a question?
That's what that is. Click, 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 click. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it.
Yeah, and people are like,
hold on.
Yeah, and now we're crap. If you
just would have done the thing that you said you're gonna do when you turned on your blinker, so I'm listening and
you
learning.
expect me to ram up. Yeah, why would you think I would do anything but let you in? It would not serve me to speed up while you are merging. But they just think.
Another reason why, like your name, I was just thinking about this too, because I was going to say, I wish that white women would understand that as much power as they hold, they're still without any power. But that's why, another reason why your name pisses people off. It's not even just the white part, it's the white woman. Because
it's being perceived, but and generalized and put into a group that they didn't control, right?
Well, there's also this false thought that white women are so protected. It's not that they're so protected; they're just so infantilized. They're so sheltered. They're so controlled.
When I thought of the name, I was like, I know it's going to sting.
Oh,
but I also know there is no fucking reason.
It's not a reason for it at all.
I'm a black woman. Only white people have not experienced being referred to as white and then their thing. And so they're like, what do you mean? I'm a woman. And we're like, white. The only
other space though that white woman is brought up is to excuse misogyny by white men. They'll say something wildly misogynistic, and then they'll be like, you know, when basic white bitches, or, you know, it's just like, they think it's okay. Yeah,
No.
I do. When I hear it when I hear it said out loud, it's like white men trying to look woke by putting down white women.
Yes. Well, how many times
men
how many
use
times
these
do white
things
women,
to weapon? They don't do
yeah,
it for good.
like white women are like, oh my God, I'm gonna get white girl wasted tonight. So it's fine then. Oh my God, I'm such a basic white girl because I'm gonna get my pumpkin spice latte. It's fine then.
Yeah.
But you have a problem with somebody who's not white calling you a white woman. And the reason, we can pull it all the way back, but the reason why the offense is there is because whether they want to admit it or not, they know the history of whiteness.
Yeah.
And they want to run from that. It's that separation thing.
Yeah,
How dare you call me white? I know because they also assume they assume that they know what we think about white people. So they assume that when we say that you're a white woman, we're insulting you. So when we talk about white women, you just hate white people. No, I can just identify that you are a white person and I'm going to call you a white woman. But it's projection. They think that we hate them, and so we're using white as a slur.
It's so interesting to look at it with the cis woman too, right? Because
Yes.
they hate any qualifier because they are women. We are women.
Because when they refer to
I'm a
other
woman
people,
too, and I'm like guilty
They
of
refer to other women, yeah.
switch between saying us and them because I don't know.
whatever.
Cisgender women, and
It's fine.
it ultimately comes down to, because also a lot of white people think that black is a bad word. They tiptoe around black. You see that person over there? They've got the orange shirt
God.
and the white shoes and their
Tall.
glasses.
They have, you know,
that
darker
black
hair.
woman over there?
Like, just
Or it's
say
like-
it.
They tell your story like, oh yeah, and I was like, and there's this black woman there. Why are we whispering that?
That's
because
where the
That's where
hurt
it
comes
is.
from.
They think it's such a negative word. They think it's an insult, and it's because black has been tied to nigger, and that's what the connection that they're making.
And it reminds them of that, and it reminds them that, like, oh, I'm not just floating here in my own little main character world. And like, oh God, I saw it. I saw the name. And what's the regular name? Because I only see the username.
That's all I saw.
I don't think it's worth saying out loud.
No. See, didn't.
Yeah.
Didn't.
So that's like, it's that
This
correlation.
person
It's
says,
that.
I was taught that saying black woman is a slur.
No. Who were you taught that by? Who gets taught slurs?
Here are the slurs, my children.
I have never been. And like, y'all don't know what slur means.
They think
and
that
y'all
being
think-
called racist is a slur.
Yeah, like the slur isn't the problem. So here's the other thing. White people think that's the being called the word is not the oppression. It's being the word while that being the reason that you deserve the oppression. It's the oppression that's the problem, not the word.
Yep.
If you call
deserve
me
this
any
because you're an
terrible word-
XYZ. Yep.
Yeah, I don't. So, like I said, if you see me as a human, but you don't know the right word, I will take that over you calling me the right word, but letting me die because you don't want to get involved to make a fuss.
Right.
It's not about the word. Like Molly, I remember once they made a really good video, and she said BIPOC in it. Like she's talking about BIPOC people, and I don't subscribe to BIPOC, but the video was still popping.
Right.
So I watched the video. And then someone had said, yeah, BIPOC. And she's like, got it.
Yeah.
I am not taking that video down. I am not going to mention it even because it's not the important thing.
No,
right?
it's not. It's not. It's
the
not.
action,
It's the
take the
impact.
steps.
It's the impact behind what happens. Like you said, where is the harm? The harm is not in the word coming out. It is in the way that you use it. It's the choice that you made to call me this word because you consider me less than. That is it. That's it.
They just get caught on the word, and then it's a slur is a slur. Do you know what it is? Why is it a slur? Like, what? It's not. Language, the left in language and the right is behavior. You know, it's
So much around language. So much.
what can I say? What can't I say? Since when do y'all
That's
care?
the whole thing. Like, why can't I say it? Why can't I say it? What's my issue with BIPOC? It's not so much an issue. Okay, so you're in the UK. It's not an issue, but the acronym stands for
people
Black,
in the UK are
Indigenous, and
different.
other people of color. when you lump everybody together, it erases identities. And also at the root of everything is anti-Blackness, meaning that Black people experience bigotry and prejudice from other people of color. So we're not as united as
Remember, I
white
said
people would like to say.
men, women, and Negroes, right?
Remember
There
that?
were no other, it wasn't also these. It was people and Negroes. So you can't, it's not the same.
A lot of people have started saying BIPOC as a way to avoid saying Black.
Right.
Yep.
And we knew it. I have a video from early when I first started hearing it. I was like, who asked for this? Because it wasn't us. BIPOC. Talk about who you're talking about.
Right.
And just distancing yourself from what you're talking about. All the acronyms. Think about that. Why do you need to change the word? And why do we get so far removed from person? They're people. The people is included in the P.
People talk, yeah.
I am a Black person. I'm not a
I love
BIPOC.
when people are like, when people say Black POC, I'm like, no. But I also think it's a good way to.
There's no POC issues. I'm sorry. Because what does that mean?
I have
non-white, but not Black.
There's two things. You've gotten snapped at for not using. Why is it frustrating? And did somebody snap at you? And what was the entire situation?
Did you live?
Because that's a very limited amount of information. And if you just walked up to somebody and said BIPOC and they snapped at you, then you probably deserved it. But what I was going to say about that too is like, it seems like it's trying to be so far removed from the anti-Blackness that exists, because a lot of people want to talk about everything is so much different or everything is fine. But anti-Blackness is at the root of everything. There was just a young boy that was shot in a convenience store by an Asian man because he thought he was stealing. That happened back when the LA riots happened because of that bias about a Black body. And it wasn't a white person that did it. Anti-Blackness runs deeper than any other level of racism or bigotry that you can imagine. The reason being is that Black people are at the intersection of everything. So when you want to hate everything, you hate Black people.
POC. And you say POC or you say people of color, how do you address anything? It makes it so that you don't have to do anything. It's just people of color, it's everybody's issue. But if I say this is anti-Black and look at this example of this being anti-Black, then you might actually have to listen.
Somebody said you're trying to be more inclusive, but you're okay. And good. Thank you for changing that. But how is it inclusive if you're stripping away the identities?
Why is it inclusive?
I've seen a video that was like talking about there's a long history in the United States with BIPOC people and their hair, like, and then goes no. Say it.
Not.
This is how easily things are just stripped from Black people.
Yeah.
I want people to really think about that too. Like this thought of being inclusive. It's stripping away identity from Black people. We are constantly
talked about individually,
constantly being stolen from.
Yeah,
even in ways that people think they're doing something good for us, you're then taking away our individuality. You're then taking away our autonomy, like taking away who we are.
And inclusive in what? What are you trying? When you're talking about oppression, you want to be inclusive of all oppression. Is that something we need to do? Because if you're talking about BIPOC, you're only talking about oppression, right?
I'm going to give anybody a nudge in here right now. I know that you're trying to learn. I'm watching the comments. If you guys are getting activated by what we're saying and the way that we're saying it, if you're getting activated, if you're feeling something in your head, your gut, or your body by what you're hearing and in the tone in which you're hearing it, if that's bothering you, take a minute. Because I can see some defensiveness in the way that you're responding. Nobody's upset with you. Nobody's mad at you. You're not doing anything wrong. And this white supremacy also has you believing that if you're corrected, that somebody's upset with you or that the end of the world's happening. It's not. If you want to learn, that means that you're not always going to have the gentle tone. It's not always going to be placating. You are hearing something because it's impacting two people up here in our daily lives. We live this.
You think we don't know that you're trying to learn? Why do you think we are here saying the words?
This is what we do. We do this. We do this not for you. We do it because of you. But we don't do it for you. But because we do it because of you, that means that you have the opportunity to take from it, but understand that it's not always going to sound the way that makes you feel warm and fuzzy.
Yeah, The inclusion is for the white benefit. Absolutely. That's why
Yep.
I don't like the word inclusion, because it's like, well, come along with us. We're doing so well. We want to include you in this. No, it was like when I saw the joke where like white diners finally had to let black people in, and black people came, ate the food. It was like, it's not giving what it was supposed to give. That's a joke. We don't even want this. Like, is it really worth it? Right? You might want to come back this way.
We don't know.
But bring some cash. I'm just saying, like, the inclusion is giving the absolute worst vibes. It's giving it's giving
the worst. And like you said this too in a conversation that we had, like this inclusion. You said it earlier today with the oppression, but also with the way that the world is right now. The world is literally on fire. The world is absolute shit. So we don't necessarily want to be included in that bullshit. We just want to be humanized.
Yeah, I want to be left alone.
Left alone with my rights.
Right. And like,
I think, fellow white women, let's try listening. So I want you to let your thumb just for a little bit and see if that helps. Because
if you have ever told a black person, I am trying to learn, I'm going to give you a spoiler. That black person doesn't like you. Because who cares? The fact that you think you can learn your way, it's just, what? Where do you think you sit? Because if you think we need help, that's not it. I'm trying to let you know where you sit and how where you sit can impact how you impact other people and how we might see you. Mm-hmm. I am trying to gift information that can make you less harmful out in public and can help you make other people less harmful out in public. So it's like for me and my people, but I'm with you. But you telling me you're trying to learn? Why is it hard? I didn't get an opportunity to try and learn. I was born and I'm just stumbling through, and then boom, there's a man being kneeled on for minutes on the news in the afternoon.
In the afternoon.
And he looks like anybody I know. Something has gone wrong. When that's an okay thing, we are not budging at the fact like, hey, maybe we shouldn't show this at any time. Show his face all the time. Maybe that's not a good look without life. That we are totally desensitized to. But had that been a bunny rabbit,
a dog,
0% chance that is being even maybe talked about, aired, seen at.
If it were an animal, the person that kneeled on that animal's neck would have been arrested on the spot.
It wouldn't have happened. It wouldn't have been taped. You uproar. And the fact that we can see a body that can look just like hers and be like, and me too, right? Like I saw it, and I'm seeing this stuff all the time. I'm desensitized, and that is terrible. I do not.
The only thing that I'm sure that you guys have heard the analogy of you all have had a 400-year head start and you're still lagging behind. The only thing that we have had a head start on is like oppression and violence brought against us. And we face it every day. There should be no reason why every day we're seeing the news of somebody that looks like us dying at the hands of somebody else.
And then you're trying to learn, and you think that is a gift to Black people. What are you trying to learn? What are you learning? I mean, I know what you should be like feeling and online. I get that. But when you say it, what do you think? What are you learning about? Slavery?
I want people to recognize when you're doing anti-racism work, your focus, because you live in the right now, because you live in the today, and this is still happening today, your focus should be how you can make an effective change today. I know that a lot of people feel like they have to learn about Black history first before they could. That's not the case, because like we talked about earlier, we're repeating everything that's in the past. So learning about Black history, yes, make that part of your extracurricular work, I guess we can say. Yeah. But your focus is on what you can do today while you are here. what you can do to help dismantle white supremacy while you're here today, so that we don't keep looking back there. And I think sometimes that's where that I'm trying to learn is like, I have to learn all about Jim Crow. I have to learn all about slavery. I have to learn all about segregation. We're not in those places right now. And right now we are dying, which means we need you to do shit right now. Learning about what happened to our ancestors is important. We can tell you that, but we can't tell you if we're dying. And we are dying. Like, we're dying. And nobody cares. Because you guys are trying to learn.
I'm trying to learn. I don't want to. I get snapped at. It's very frustrating. Do you hear how that sounds compared to what we're talking about? It's so frustrating. I said BIPOC and someone snapped at me. Get the fuck over it.
If you were
we were like, it was illegal to make a smirk at white people. You couldn't have an insulting gesture. There was a word for it. Totally subjective. A white person was not allowed to feel as though you gave them a look. You could be put in jail, killed, for making a white person feel as though you were a little uppity and you are frustrated. Sorry, Caroline.
No. I was just like, if you're in a 400 person lecture or if you're in a 181 person lecture, do you raise your hand to say, I just want to let you know I'm learning right now? No. You don't, because it's unnecessary. If you're learning, you're learning. You don't have to let the professors know that.
And you kind of like did the opposite thing, right? Like when you said it, now you kind of negated it. It's like saying, I'm a nice guy.
Yeah.
There's also, you have to let go of this need for acknowledgement and praise, because that is still a level, or that's still a way of distancing yourself or othering yourself from white people. Please make sure that you notice that I'm here doing everything I can to try and learn about what to do to help you. How many people did I say I in that statement?
And like, you're not, as you're like waiting like this, are you also listening to the words I'm saying currently?
Or are you just waiting to say what you have to say when you get called on?
Right. They're just like, I'm going to sit here until they call. And I'm currently teaching, right? I am currently in a flow. And I'm trying really hard. Okay. Well, it's like you want. Yeah. I wish I could. I would if I could.
Sarah, it shouldn't be for free, but that's another conversation. I think that also, I say a lot when I talk about removing your ego. You have to get out of your own way. Like, you have to get out of your own way. If you're doing anti-racism work, if you're truly doing anti-racism work, if you're truly doing the work of decolonizing, you have to get out of your way. You have to be ready to have some hurt feelings, not get your feelings hurt, but to have some hurt feelings. And you're going to have hurt feelings because you are unlearning everything. Like, you're finding these things out that you've participated in, sometimes just subconsciously, or because it's just what you were born into. And that can shake and rock your world. When you realize that everything that you thought was true is not true. And not only is it not true, it has been perpetuating harm against community people. That's a lot to take in and learn. And learn those feelings. But you're not going to die. The world is not going to end. It's not going to stress you out more than it needs to.
You will literally be fine.
And honestly, once you start this and you start to see things in a different way, and you can't go back, and that's what we want. We want you to see things differently. Rebecca, you and I have seen it where people are like, I can't unsee it now.
Yeah.
And that's what you should have.
Trying to learn, if it seems difficult, you're not doing it right. If it's not studying for a test, there's no destination. All you got to do is go, wow, there are things going on I'm not aware of. Let me look a little harder at the things I'm looking at right now and just go, where are the black people? That's all I can do. And then it'll just, happen. It'll happen. Life will give you the tool. The context is there. You're on TikTok. Perfect. Right? But it shouldn't be that hard.
That oftentimes that I'm trying to learn, that statement comes from two things. It comes from the need for acknowledgement and the need for praise. It also comes from it's an avoidance tactic. You're trying to learn, but what you're doing is you're avoiding what's going to come up when you learn. So when I said just a minute ago, if you're activated by something, you're feeling something somewhere, because you're going to be, if you're not activated by the things that you hear, that's for another time. But when you're activated, like, pay attention to that. Like, why do you feel that? But if you're running from feeling something, you're not in it.
Right. And I agree with this. The people that have learned from the mistakes they've made will be noticed whether or not they're acknowledged for it.
100%. 100%. I will know who has been doing some active work without them saying anything to me. I can tell you people in my comment section that have been doing this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I don't even mind when someone says, like, I am learning so much. That's I don't
different.
mind.
That's an active statement.
I'm trying to learn?
That's an inactive statement. Mm-hmm. There's a statement of action and there's a statement of remaining idle.
Yeah.
Remaining idle sitting at that fucking stop sign.
They're like, it's just so hard. It's hard. How am I going to know what's going to happen? I need certainty.
I just want people to also think about this too. When you say that it's hard or it's difficult or it's frustrating, think about who you're saying that to.
Yeah.
I cannot stress this enough. Quit telling Black people, especially Black women, that anti-racism work is hard.
Voluntarily, by the way, we are Black women speaking about being Black women on the entire internet in order to reach the worst of the people to convince them in between rug cleaning videos and like puppies dancing to maybe see Black people as humans.
And then we hear, but
it's hard. And then they call me racist. And you're like, what?
I'm hosting this and I have to jump. I've got therapy.
We've done our bit.
Yeah. I was going to give some action. You know, I like to give action.
Happy Best Friends Day.
Happy National Best Friends Day. Okay, action items.
I feel like I do have to do it like Caroline.
Action items for the people in here. You are going to stop saying that you're trying to learn. You are going to find a journal. If you don't have one, if you click on the place on my bio, I have some that are super cute. Our Patreons and our bios.
Yes, Patreon, please. And we are officially going to be, well, we're going to talk about it. Patreon push.
Yeah, Patreon push.
I'm coming up with my alliterations.
This is going to be really helpful. Okay, action items. Get a journal. Stop saying that you're trying to learn and actually learn. And in that journal, I want you guys to like not only write down what you're learning, but what you feel when you learn. Okay?
Oh, cute.
Got it?
Action items.
I'm
not doing any of them. All right, love you.
Action items.
When you leave here, y'all gonna have some work to do.
If you want to.
If you want to.
Yeah,
have a great day if you want to.
If you want to. That's for any PDA people in here. If you want to have a good day. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.